Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 10th episode of the Teacher's Lounge. I'm here. I am Gorilla Todd. To my this direction,
All right.
I have my co-host, none other than Mynd Shift, aka Comics on the Mind, and a few other names. So welcome. We're excited. We have some, hopefully. Oh, I think I'm doing the
echo.
Okay, I'm doing the amateur thing on my 10th episode.
Oh, good.
I'm doing that. There we go.
Boom.
Now I'm good. Okay, rookie mistake. Okay, I've only our 10th episode, but yeah, welcome. Good to see everybody. We got 7 people watching.
7 people. What?
Yep.
That's awesome.
This way, it's like reverse.
There we go. I see you. Yeah, it takes some practice, you know. But you get it, after a while. There we go.
I'm like cutting off. There we go. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good. I just got down to Fresno, hanging out with my my buddies,
Nice.
2 buddies in the community. We're gonna be celebrating one of those community members' birthday, aka,
Nice.
and then I'm also gonna be able to go hunting. I haven't been hunting in a long time, so it'll be
Cool. What are you hunting?
Whatever I can find. I'll I had a list originally that I wrote, but I left it at home. So, but I have like an idea in my head what I want to pick up. Like, I know I want to look for some Moon Knight. I know I want to look for some Uncanny X-Men, some Amazing Spider-Man. Hopefully, I can get some Silver Age stuff, some older Avengers.
Nice.
Depending on where we go. And just like some whole fillers from some more modern day runs. Yeah.
Okay, very cool. It's always nice to get to a new place and hit some fresh stores that you haven't been to.
I'm just glad about the Bay Area, dude. Like, it's been a minute since I've actually been able to leave the Bay Area, so yeah, it was definitely
awesome. Okay, so we've got one guest so far lined up for the show. I'm going to go ahead and bring him in. And we'll give him his introductions. It's a good friend of mine. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him right in. Here we go. Welcome, Shelby.
What's up?
Good to have you on our 10th episode.
What?
Other way. There you
go. Yeah, this reverse thing.
Yeah, it's weird,
guys.
So you're lucky. Mynd Shift, you're lucky. You can just do this, and either way, you're right.
I know. I'm still pointing at both of you guys. That's hilarious.
So yeah, just to let everybody know, I put the link in the chat. If you want to join, if you're interested in popping in and saying hello, this is our 10th episode. We're trying to make it like a big community thing. Feel free to jump into you'll join in. You'll be in the backstage, and we'll bring you in as soon as we can.
Join us. Come.
Yeah,
chat.
definitely.
Yeah, congratulations on 10 episodes, guys. Man.
Yeah, I could not have imagined. Let's catch up with the chat a little bit. I couldn't even imagine when we started. I thought, hopefully we'll get a couple in the can and that, but we've been going consistently. Week after week, 10th episode. You can see what I wrote in the banner. Thank you to I want to say thank you to my co-host Mynd Shift on our 10th episode, the Teacher's Lounge. And then thank you to everybody who's been coming and hanging out with us and all our friends. And here's to 10 more and beyond. Cheers, guys.
Salud.
Yeah,
Drinking my water, but yeah.
My iced tea. I'm from the South, so.
I got a little bit of something a little bit hard.
Let's see. Let's see what's going on in the chat. We got Beta Ray Jim saying congrats on the 10th. Thanks, Beta Ray Jim.
What's up, Betty
You
Ray
know,
Jim?
I know you said, you can't, but, if you wanted to pop in just for 30 seconds, you're welcome to. Thank you for putting the gorilla emojis. I love it. That's just me letting everybody know. Shelby saying what's up to everybody. That's the link right there. Let's see. Yeah, the chat's popping pretty good. Let me see.
Yeah,
We got William Smallwood. Good evening.
Yeah, I see Papa Willie there that we know. C squared.
Okay. Henry Ortiz. Fire. I see a good friend.
Metaphorical jumped in.
We got Kay Titus in the chat and another guest lined up. Superior Hero Reviews. What's happening?
What's up, Superior? What's going on?
11 people watching.
11. What?
Yep. G Rip's here watching. Hello in Hawaii, G Rip.
What's up, G Rip?
Okay, and we got my buddy C squared. If you want to jump in, C squared, the link is in the chat, my friend. We got Ruben Guzman, Cowabunga family.
What's up, Ruben?
What's up, Peanut Butter 524?
What's up?
The icon. Happy little peanut.
He's a cool dude.
Congrats on the 10th episode, G Rip says. Thank you very much.
Yeah, get Papa Willie up there.
Okay. Got Metaphorical saying what's up. Get them exclusives. Yes, if you haven't heard, at Midnight Market, we've got this great comic exclusive with crossover #1, Donnie Cates' book. Justine Franny's doing the cover. It's going to be freaking fire. Get your hands on it. I can't say enough about it. I'm really excited about the book. I can't wait to read it. I think it's going to be a great book. Comic Zombie, congrats on 10. Thank you, Comic Zombie.
What's up, Comic Zombie?
So, and I just noticed there's one other person that has Star Wars curtains up.
Oh, they're not my curtains.
Put my room away. Get a COVID test, so I got to be quiet. I'll be down for another time. Sounds good, C squared. Totally understand. I got my 3rd test of the school year today, actually. Or no, I had it on Tuesday. I got my negative results today, thankfully. Okay, so I think I'm caught up in the chat. How many? I guess it'll let me bring like 4 people in at once. I think. Let's try.
For sure.
Special guest.
What's the word? The word out.
What's up?
What's up, kid?
Samurai Ken, but also known as
K Titus.
Konnichiwa, my friend, from Japan, right?
Konnichiwa.
What's up, dude?
Still no school. School's still out.
Yeah, you're still out? I've been in for like 4 weeks now.
Distance teaching, or it's just not. There's no school at all.
Well, they're doing some online studies, but it's all done by like a computer system. So all the teachers have been like totally laid off. So.
Whoa! No way! That's crazy.
It's like now, 8 of the students this past week actually got the virus too, and they're not even going to school.
Wow.
Oh, so yeah, but if your family's not like practicing like good social distance like practices, then it's kind of hard,
Yeah, but I mean, it's been like now 8 months since I've worked, so.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm tested. C Squared is asking if I got to test like monthly. Actually, I'm getting tested every 2 weeks. I'm tested every other week. And the social distancing thing is on, like Donkey Kong, and the masks are on. And knock on wood, we've been having almost a negligible, less than a fraction of a % of positive tests. So,
well, we just started actually that they said that 3rd wave yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And it's been like the first day we haven't had a typhoon. Luckily, we've had like 5 typhoons in a row.
Wow.
Well,
What you call a typhoon, when I lived in Florida, we used to call a hurricane.
Hurricane.
When I teach about those, I have to explain, like, they're like, what's the difference between a typhoon and a hurricane? Where it's happening in the world. Otherwise, scientifically, it's pretty much the same thing.
Well, we actually had the strongest typhoon in Japan's history 2 days ago.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of places in Okinawa was just totaled.
That's intense.
So I would be actually going up there to do volunteer work, but because of Corona, they won't allow it.
Oh, my goodness. That's freaking crazy, man. This COVID's really throwing a monkey wrench into the whole world, to say the least.
Yeah, definitely. It's like everything is changing, whether or not it's like how we shop, like socially, like all that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's been like the first time I haven't bought cactus in almost a year now because of Corona. Stopped buying that and everything else, just staying at home or doing the volunteer work at the hospital.
Yeah. How often do you volunteer?
I've been doing like 5 days a week, pretty much going in the afternoons. Yesterday,
Nice.
I spent $2,000. I bought a whole bunch of toys and stuff for some nonprofit organization hospitals. Because in Japan, I mean, if a kid has cancer, if they're handicapped, the parents pretty much dump the kids because it's bad luck or a disgrace to the family. So they just dump them. So I went to a nonprofit organization funding hospital kids in cancer, and it was just so terrible. They didn't have TVs, no toys, no books. So I bought a whole bunch of toys, and I'm going to pick up some used TVs and stuff I'll buy and rent them up there.
That's just tragic to hear.
Yeah, that's awesome, you know, to help them like that, though.
Well, I gave a lot of my comics that I had as well. I mean, they liked it, so
that's cool. Kids love comics. I give kids in my classes comics sometimes when they like expressed interest, or they talked about it with them. Sometimes I'll just surprise them and slide them an issue.
Well, it can actually make a good debate class, actually, with the different variations of comics.
Yeah, I was watching what's his name, Comic Book Posers debate show. Meta was on earlier. Yeah. It was pretty interesting. I was trying to throw Meta some info to support his X-Men argument. I don't know if you saw it. What's up, Magoo?
Yeah, I was there. I was watching it.
Okay.
I was rooting JB though. I mean, I love Meta, but
I just think, look, I'll give you my 2 cents on that whole argument. Right now, like the flavor du jour is definitely Avengers. Okay, I'm not going to argue. Like I know my kids at school. They all know the Avengers. The kids all. I love the Avengers. I love the Avengers because that's what they've been fed.
Yeah, I mean that's the same even here in Japan. I prefer the X-Men.
Looks like we lost Mind Shift. Hopefully he'll be back. But
same here. I mean, everybody's Avengers.
Yeah, because that's what it's a lot of it is timing. Now, but I can't when you say like, okay, so that's one question. Also, from a debate point of view, the question is what is the actual purpose? No problem. What is the debate about? What is the actual question being debated? What is the focus? Because if it is, what is the bigger, because I think they kind of touched on this. What is the more popular one today? It's Avengers, no question.
That could actually be very debatable because a lot of the old timers they prefer the
but there's billions. I would say there's billions of dollars that supports Avengers being popular today. Now, what is historically more relevant? I'd go with the X-Men hands down.
Yeah.
Because to me, if Marvel can't sell the X-Men and Spider-Man, the rights to make movies for X-Men and Spider-Man and Fantastic Four and Ghost Rider and Daredevil and Hulk, when they're on the verge of bankruptcy, they're probably not, unless somebody comes in and buys them, they're not going to survive.
True.
That's what they did to survive bankruptcy. So, and we all know back then the A team, to me, the first team for Marvel was Spider-Man, Hulk, and the X-Men. Everybody always loves the Fantastic Four, but they didn't. That's not what got people super excited.
Yeah.
And when they sold off Hulk and Spider-Man and those guys, what I saw when they started making movies with Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America, and I've always loved Thor, and I like Captain America, and I like Iron Man, but those to me were the B team.
Yeah,
they're not. Look, when I was a kid, there wasn't a ton of Captain America action figures, or Hulk, or Iron Man action figures, or Thor action figures. There were a crap load of Spider-Mans.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know much about the Hulk. Was very popular back in the 70s with Lou Ferrigno, and I mean, they came out with a lot of toys. So it depends on what time frame we're talking about, actually.
Right. To me, I always remember growing up with classic Hulk and Spidey covers fighting.
Correct.
And that's in the 70s and the 80s, and it probably even goes into the 90s, and it's probably still happening. I mean, they just came out the Immortal Hulk, Spider Hulk issue. So
I would have loved to have been in that debate, actually. I would have loved it.
Yeah, and so I like, to me, it's like, okay, but and my hat's off to Marvel Studios, because, hey, you made it work. You've made it work with your second tier characters. I know it sounds weird to call those characters second tier, but if you really think about the 80s, prior to them selling the rights and going bankrupt in the early 90s, after they tried to buy Heroes World to be a distributor,
right?
That the X-Men were really the juggernaut. Not intentionally using that, but they were the juggernaut of Marvel Comics.
I saw what you did.
Spider-Man, was the king of Marvel Comics, and the Hulk was like the bad cousin or something.
Well, yeah, I don't. So just looking at the chat, Papa Willie dropped out, and I was trying to keep up with Meta's stuff. I didn't get to hear the debate and exactly what is around. Meta was trying to correct some things, it looks like, in the chat. But yeah, remember though, Todd, back in the early 90s, whenever the Marvel ship was going down and they almost went into bankruptcy, Hulk was really, really popular, right? You had McFarlane that had brought him back up in popularity. Peter David was writing his ass off.
Well, Peter David wrote the Hulk for like 10 years. Yeah,
10, 11 years. Right after that, you had Portacio, I think, starting the art, and so they had some solid artists and stuff. Hulk had its own toy line at that time. Hulk was a big commodity back then, along with the X-Men. Which I think the X-Men was just the X-Men kind of floats in popularity based on previous popularity, right? Because I don't know what the hell's going on in X-Men right now. I love Hickman. I love his writing, but I have no clue what's happening. I picked up an issue here or there and try to read it, and it's like I don't know what's going on.
But also, another thing, to support the historic importance of the X-Men, and I put this in the chat in the debate, is who did we really see first? Hollywood made the X-Men first, because the X-Men are who Hollywood had more confidence in.
Right.
That's why we saw the X-Men first. Because back then there was no Marvel Studios. They were fledgling. They were doing cartoons. And that's what led to.
When did the Fantastic Four movies come out?
But even those were licensed; those weren't Marvel.
Yeah, it was early 2000s. I think the first X-Men movie was 2001. I think 2001.
Unless you're going back to the Roger Corman Fantastic Four, that was pretty hard. I never actually saw, but I met the cast.
No, not that one. We talk about the '90s one.
Yeah, I got a bootleg of it. It's not terrible, but the documentary of it is really good. It's on Amazon Prime. You should check that out.
Oh, I might have to. I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah.
I got to give my buddy Magoo some attention here. Yeah, I love the Flash too. Don't get me wrong. I love the Flash. You know it, man.
Yeah, I think
23 is one of my prized comic books that I'll ever have. I don't ever want to sell that thing unless I get my hands on a higher grade one.
Nothing's better than Wolverine and Hulk smash. Guys.
Well, that's the beauty of collecting comics. You got your guys, I got mine.
Yeah, but think about, looking at Flash and the DC universe, like what Marvel's been able to do with like the multi-dimensional stuff with the last couple of movies, like Endgame and everything. They could do the same thing with the Flash and, like a Flashpoint type of art. That would be amazing, I think.
I agree.
Yeah, I would love to see. There's just DC has so much potential. It's just a matter of them really like finding the right formula, finding the right way to just
to slow down and not just put so much out so quickly. Like, I think the build-up is like key for building a real good like superhero universe. I think Marvel did that very well. Like, they built that for years, building on top of like story after story arc, and it was like better than the next, Now I just think DC like just rushed a lot of that stuff,
I'm really looking forward to the Snyder Cut. I'd love to see, 4-hour long Justice League type of movie,
Watching Lord of the Rings with the all the additional extra hours.
Exactly. Return of the King. Part 1 and 2, right?
That was already a 4-hour movie in the theaters.
Someone coughing next to you. Hey, man.
My bad over there. No.
What they don't realize when I keep my mask pretty much always on at school, like, and I don't barely take it off unless I'm eating. Like, I've always wanted to wear a mask. I'd wear a cape if they'd let me, but then I'd look at you.
You should get like a cape that's attached to a mask, and you just put the mask.
That'd be cool.
Boom.
In Japan,
but I have to wear the cape because it comes with the mask.
Come on, it's like.
In Japan, most of the people that are working at the shops nowadays, they wear like these plastic masks over their face.
Yeah, they have them. They have them out here too, definitely.
But when you eat, they have these masks that you push this little button on the side, and it opens up like a little slit. Open up, push the button.
No way.
It is really funny. What you do, you just push the little button, and it closes back up.
That is crazy.
Leave it up to Japan.
Try to be a little more safer.
So was it C Squared had an investment question? And that's
let's look at
everybody there.
Random
anniversary Overstreet this week.
I do the download, the digital one.
Oh, 102, you lucky son of a gun.
102 is 6.5 for 200 ship. Let me ask you, C Squared, is that the I saw one on an auction earlier today.
I'm about to look it up. I'm not sure what Hulk 102 is.
It's the first issue when it switched from
yeah. Actually, C Squared, I have 2 copies of that. I could actually talk to you if you want.
I don't know off the top of my head if it's not. I've never thought of it as a terribly expensive book.
It's not.
And I'll be honest, I got my copy when I think I was in middle school. So, I probably traded like a couple Rob Liefeld New Mutants and maybe a McFarlane Spider-Man for it.
Wow.
Just because that's how I made things happen back then.
Just so casual. Just toss him a 98.
Oh well, dude, I'm telling you, that's how I still have at least 3 books that I did that with, which was my Hulk 102, my Iron Man 1, and my FF52.
Dang, yeah. I still want to get that book, that 52, but that book keeps going up in price. I'm gonna get 46 before I get 52 though. I gotta get first Black Bolt.
Yeah, that's a good one. I love that cover.
That's the thing.
So
All
yeah,
right, guys.
squared. I would probably just, you may want to talk to Shelby because I know he'll treat you right. And I mean, all I can do is really look it up in Overstreet and see what 6.5 is like a fine copy. It's like a fine plus maybe.
That's what I was doing. Todd was looking it up. I mean, they show a 6.0 in the new Overstreet is 75, and 8.0 is 175.
So,
that's a little high then.
Yeah.
Well, he's asking for a 6.5, so it'd be like $75, $80.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Okay.
Peace out.
Now,
Great.
Thank you so much, Titus. Always good to see you, my
congratulations on
friend.
your 10th episode, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Peace out.
Take care of yourself. Be safe.
Shout.
Whoop, whoop.
Okay.
And there were 3.
Well, we got somebody else joining us.
Who else is popping up?
Does it? Maybe it only lets me have 4 backstage. I don't know where it keeps people. I kind of feel bad. I don't know.
Yeah. Who else is popping up?
What's up, Tacoma? Is it?
Hey.
Tacoma! What's up, dude?
I was watching you earlier on the auction, my friend. What's up, Tacoma? Is it Monday?
Tacoma!
What's up? That's not me, is it?
Congratulations.
Earlier on the auction, my friend. What's up, Tacoma? Is it?
Might be.
There you go.
There you go. That was me.
Okay.
What is wrong with your show? Oh, it's my fault. Okay. How's everybody doing?
We're doing good. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Congratulations, man.
Yeah,
10
thank you.
is the start. I remember
Yeah, it's a small milestone, but it's a milestone.
No, absolutely. When I got 10 subscribers on YouTube, I did a contest for like some small little book, and JoJo from Flicks and Comics won. So I was
That's awesome.
I was like, there you go. That's how I got to know her. But yeah, congratulations, man. It's good to see you guys going. And teachers got to stick together because only teachers understand what teachers know.
Yeah. Nobody knows what it's like to be in a classroom unless you
know what it's like right now.
You're doing distance learning.
I'm doing remote, and I got to tell you, my district is okay about it. Like the classes that we wrote, because we had to redo all our stuff so that it was like fully compatible for online.
Mm-hmm.
The class I wrote for one of the courses I teach and like people in my department teach, we like one of them that somebody else wrote, man, everybody's kind of pissed at her because she just did a half-ass job, and now we're left with shit that like we're presenting to our students, but it's not our own. And I don't know when I've got time to redo it because I literally did not have a day off like since the beginning of August. So that's a mess. But it's all good. But my school does 3 periods on Monday and Thursday, the same 3 periods, 3 periods on Tuesday and Friday. The periods are 80 minutes long. You're expected to do like an introduction, then give them the work, let them work independently, stay live in the Zoom. If they need help, they come back, or you can pull like a small group to help while everybody else is working. Then bring them back at the end for like a wrap up.
So you like breakout groups? Yeah,
basically. And then on Wednesday, not even breakout groups, but you can just literally let them go, right? And like,
nice.
But when you come back, show me the work, right? So I had people come back today. I'm like, show me the paper airplanes you made for the challenge. And half of them are like, oh, I was just researching. And like, oh, you were told to go make 2 paper airplanes. So, they get the idea after a while.
Yeah.
It's good. But and then Wednesdays is there is no classes. It's all small group. You literally are like talking to your kids for a short period of time and just working with a different group each day for each class. So I think my district gets it as far as that goes. I don't really have too many complaints, but overall it still sucks. We're not in the class.
I mean, I'm honestly, I feel fortunate. I work for an independent school. So we're able to probably do things that, they just can't do in the public school in terms of, like, we have thermal cameras and ongoing testing. And
nice.
I've been tested. I was tested for the 3rd time this year.
Oh, wow.
This week.
State of the art.
And it's like every other week I go, they're in the gym. I go and I get tested.
Wow. That's awesome. Funny thing is, we actually could and should do that. Every other country that's gotten over this has done that. It's not impossible.
No.
I was just watching the Sounders destroy the San Jose. And every sports team is getting tested every week. I mean, the capabilities there. I can't imagine what the holdup is. Why we haven't done a testing program as our country.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry.
I like the thinking pose.
Anyway, enough of it's all about you guys and what you're doing here. And I like these shows. I like people getting together. I liked my show that I did Tuesday nights, but it was just too late, so I pulled that back. But just like, people talking about comics and not like no fancy graphics. I like the dark blue on our names. That's nice. Talking about comics is good, man. Real good.
Hey, I like bourbon and bullshit.
I'll do it once in a while. I just can't do it.
You know the reason why I want to learn how to char rosemary and put it in my whiskey, dude.
When I first heard that, I was like, whoa, but that was really good. And then Lady Fantastic was the one who said, char your orange peel too.
Yeah.
And it added a different flavor. So the only thing I got to do now is I got to get a vanilla bean and soak the vanilla bean in cinnamon syrup, which I also haven't found yet. But that, if I can get the vanilla, vanilla in the bitters, right? So he called it, what did he call it? Mitch Gerard, the guy who does the artwork on Mr. Miracle and other stuff. He said it's Vango. I'm like, what is Vango? It's vanilla bean Angostura bitters, but he just called it Vango. So I'd love to get like a vanilla flavored bitters, but that's other than that, I'm happy with my It's all pretentious bullshit, but that's part of the fun of the show.
That's interesting.
I was doing tasting notes, right, on the show. So I would Google whatever bourbon I was drinking, and I would just try to take a sip of it and try to identify the flavors. The way like a wine taster would be like, oh, a little bit of blackberry and some red currant and stuff. I was so far off, man.
It's like barrel.
Because I mean, like vanilla, caramel, spice, those are like the typical flavors you get in bourbon, but like trying to pull those out when it's just this heavy alcohol. It's
hard.
What's up with you guys besides the 10th anniversary?
10th episode.
I'll just get some rum. Yeah, just drinking some rum.
I'm just drinking water. I'm boring like that.
What about books? Anybody get something good yesterday?
I got a box of books every week. Kind of gets a little ridiculous. I got all the new. I got the Venom Wraith. I sold the 1 in 50 already. I got both covers on that. I got store reprints. I got the third print. I think third print for number 1. Pretty cool cover. And then this is probably my favorite cover of all the reprints. I'm gonna go big.
Cool landscape.
Cool Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Or
it's a plain cover.
yeah.
Very nice, man. So Captain Comics says he was a teacher. Oh, when he homeschooled, yeah.
Really? Happy birthday, Captain Comics. Did he say it? Did he say it in the chat room? I got a couple of cool books.
Pick up the first of these Altross Timeless variants.
Oh, nice.
I want the Storm one. I saw the Storm
Is
one.
that this Wednesday?
What's that?
That was this Wednesday? Those
Yeah,
came?
that came out
Yeah,
this
that's
week.
the first one. So
Alice
far.
Ross this Wednesday, yeah.
And I picked
Well,
up
I've been liking
of
these variants.
Not that Captain Marvel. Lady Fantastic posted. There's another one that shows the Accuser. Do you have that one?
Yeah, I saw that one.
That's
Yeah.
sick. I wish I'd seen that. I like that a lot.
I'm not reading Captain Marvel though.
So I actually,
There's a Jenny Frison cover
I got into it.
where she's got
I had a
Ronan.
couple issues in the run, and then I got 18 just because I'm like, oh, you know what? This might be a sleeper hit with Captain Marvel's sister. But I actually read it, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool.
I don't know if that's the one, but this is the
No,
Jenny.
Toby just
Oh,
helped.
that's cool.
That one's pretty cool too.
Yeah.
That's for
that's
21 also.
Yeah, 21.
Oh, nice. I gotta go back to my shop and see what I can find. Yeah, because her sister becomes the Accuser in 21. Between 18 and 21, when we meet the sister, Captain Marvel takes the Accuser staff, the rock, and she splits it between like some other superheroes she's hanging out with, Jessica Drew and other ones. But then she basically gives it to her sister because her sister just calls to it and reunites the four like shards of the staff into like this one big one, and then she holds it out like you saw on the cover, and it's like, oh yeah, who's the Accuser? That works pretty well. So it's pretty good read. Kelly Thompson writes really well. I like her stuff.
Nice.
Maybe I'll read it in trade, definitely. But I haven't read it. I heard good things though.
Yeah, it's good, and I mean, a lot of Marvel books they end after like issue 11. So the fact that it's going on 21 is pretty good.
It's a pretty good accomplishment.
Marvel go that far.
And I get like stuff I get just a copy of because I just like to read it as the Ninja Turtles.
Nice.
That's just like my holdover from childhood. And then I got the first couple issues of this new Green Hornet. I got the Lee Weeks covers. I just think they look good. I like that character, the Green Hornet. So this is issue 2.
Nice.
So I didn't get this for my LCS, but I got it in this week.
You get that a Blitz?
Oh, twinsies!
Oh yeah,
That's a cool cover.
it's a very cool cover.
I like that, and I can't. I've got about 6 different variants for this number 1, and I was like, I'd never seen this one, so I was pretty excited for that.
Oh wow, what cover is that?
That's one of the Kirkmans. It's number 3. No, Venom. Yeah, Venom 3.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Nice. This is a nothing book, but I picked this up for $1. Just thought this is cool. This little
Oh, that is too cool.
Boba Fett.
Yeah, nice.
Very nice.
Dude, I'm a firm believer in a book does not have to be expensive.
No, definitely.
To be something cool. Like I'll tell you, one of my favorite things to collect, and it's just something I loved when I was a kid, is like this old title called Justice Machine from Comic Co. I pick them up for like 50 cents a buck if I see them. One day I'll have the complete run. That book and the Elementals.
Right.
Nice.
It's a little bit like what you just held up.
I love that art germ cover.
Yeah.
Get the lighting right.
So the guy who started Comico, or who ran it, apparently is this guy named Andrew Rev, who owns the rights to Youngblood. He got them from like the guy who had bought him from Liefeld, sold him to this guy Andrew Rev, who's a total whack job, and like posted in all caps about like it's just he's going off the deep end with his ideas about comics, and he's like, you need to pay us to look at your portfolio and and we want new artists. So you send your portfolio in, and we'll tell you. And just like, but he's going on and he's copywriting like things in Twitter. Like you can't do a copyright in a tweet, I don't think. And he's just, if you go look him up, God, what is his? I can't think of the name of his new company, but his name is Andrew Rev, and he's a total whack job. Really,
Gotta love the whack jobs.
yeah.
I love that series. Far Sector has been my favorite.
I was missing this one, right? And Stay Puft was like, I got number 5. Then he sent me the
variant?
Wow variant for number 5. Look at that.
Yeah.
So
I got a few copies of that.
It's like a good female Green Lantern.
yeah, she's awesome. So she's like, I don't know if the story, like she's billions of miles away from the center of the universe. Like
she's at the end of the universe, basically, and like
some far out planet. But N.K. Jemisin, who I have only read one of her novels and I didn't love it, but she's this really celebrated sci-fi author, is just killing it with this title. Just absolutely killing it.
I heard good things about her as well.
Yeah, no, I mean her books are really highly praised, but the one that I read, I don't know if I read it too late at night, wasn't getting into it, or if I was tired, but it didn't resonate with me that much. So whatever. Yeah, I found this one, which I thought was cool. It turns out there's a bunch of different homages like this. Now I got to go collect them all because
I think I think the DC's Later on one that came out a little while ago, a few weeks ago.
I'm just gonna get them all in trade. I'm just trying to I have too many books on my pull list, so it's like.
And I pretty much always get Usagi Jimbo.
That was a great issue, man.
Yeah.
I only have the first.
Read it yet. I gotta read it.
Did you read that?
I haven't read it yet.
I mean, it's the middle of an arc. It's building up to like there's gonna be a fucking blood. I mean, he doesn't show a lot of blood, but there's gonna be a big battle coming up, man, because he's defied this guy that he was pretending to work with, and now he's ready to go to war. It's pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
I'm a few issues behind. I gotta catch up.
Yeah, I only have the first issue. I think I might have like the second one too.
For some unknown reason, and I think we all know the reason because we're insane. I'm trying to collect the complete Dark Horse run of Usagi, all 160 issues.
Jeez.
There are trades and hardcovers and mega collections and cheap paperback collections, but I'm trying to get every single individual issue because that's the way that I roll.
Hey, if that's what makes you happy.
Oh yeah, hunting for it makes me happy. I'm almost happy finding it deep in a back issue bin of a new store than I am in actually bringing it home and putting it in the collection. So
yeah,
it's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, no, I hear you. That's why I tell you, when I collect, I have a couple of books that they're never going to be expensive. There's no keys in them. There's no probably future in them. You know, I don't know if we'll ever see a Justice Machine comic ever again. But I still like buying those issues. And then because there's, as a kid, I remember a couple of issues, but then I find them and I'm like, they went this high? I never even really thought, I've never looked it up in an overshoot.
I got it. One of those little gnats that's getting they smell the sugar on your bourbon and they fly around. I got it. Got it.
Oh, I hate those little buggers.
So, Kirk, do you have a lot of smoke down there, or what? How's Oakland doing?
Oh man, well I'm actually in Fresno right now.
Oh, okay.
Hey, what's up, Emmy Comics? Hey,
thing. What's up, Emmy Comics?
If you could hit me up on Instagram when you get a chance, Emmy, I think I have some books for you that that it's been a minute. So just it's not a big deal. Just hit me up so we can figure out what we're doing there. Okay. Thanks, Emmy. But good to see you in the chat, and thank you for stopping by.
We got a warning today that massive smoke is coming up from California, Oregon. It's going to hit the west coast of Washington tonight. So far, we've got the windows open and it's cool, and I haven't seen it yet. So I don't know what time it's supposed to hit or if it's changed, but we all our phones lit up with this warning because
That's
Monday night was
Yeah.
really bad.
It's been,
No, it's bad. Like it's like I thought it was. Well, I thought coming out to Fresno it was gonna be worse. So I kept hearing it was like worse out here, but like it looks just like it looks like in Oakland. Like it's like gray.
the other
sun,
day, you know,
no sky.
I'm
you know.
in Vegas, and the other day I walked out, the sky was gray, and it's like, I'm like, it doesn't feel like it's gonna rain. It wasn't, you know,
It was
Yeah.
apocalyptic red the other day.
yeah,
Yeah, I saw that online. That looked crazy.
the red
Yeah,
sunrise. And,
That shit. I woke up early in the morning and I was like, wait a minute. It's like
most
9,
of that has to do with
9:30. Why is it
it
look
has to do with how the light hits the air
Yeah.
particles in the atmosphere.
You
But
need
once it hit like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, like I was like, this is spooky, dude.
you need to copyright Apocalyptic Red though, and sell that as like a lipstick and a marker. Nobody else can sell Apocalyptic Red, man. That's
Yeah,
that's yours.
seriously.
Perfect color.
Yeah, I like that Defenders jersey you got on, that 3/4 sleeve. That's nice.
Yeah, I love the Defenders shirt.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh yeah, this is yeah, it was a great. The Netflix
That's
show.
the Netflix Defenders.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a Netflix one.
It's a
I like
Netflix
the-
Defenders, but it is the comic versions of them.
Yeah, that's true.
That's pretty cool. I'm definitely gonna get. I don't know if you guys saw. I think everybody saw my new logo. I think that got more when I posted on
That's
Instagram.
cool. I saw that on IG.
I appreciate that. I got more likes than any other post I've ever had. I think.
Oh yeah. I post on that shit too. Yeah, it's a great logo, dude. It's catching on pretty fast.
I'm
You
lucky
made
that.
that, or somebody do that for you?
Well, I had an artist do the drawing of the gorilla.
Uh-huh.
I have a buddy who's a graphic designer, and he added the circle and the lettering and the stars and stuff, you know, and like fine-tuned it and everything. So, you know, yeah, I basically had it done. But it's cool. I got all the files and everything. So I have a couple of buddies that own a t-shirt shop back in Florida. They do like screen printing and direct-to-garment printing, and they do embroidery. They basically do it all. And so I'm gonna try and get some shirts made and see what happens.
That would be awesome, dude. You need to get, I'm telling you, you need to get stickers too. Stickers
Yeah, definitely. I gotta just coordinate and talk to them because you know can't call. If I call them now, it's like it's in the middle of the night for them, basically.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I gotta do some emails to students tonight because I just got one. We had 8 students' homes go up in flames in Graham, Washington. Like we had
They able to evacuate?
we had a lot of houses that evacuated, but 8 that burned down. So the first day of school, Tuesday this week, we had like every class was about a quarter empty, just because there were so many people without power from the storms, and like there was all these real specific wildfires, like real local. We had 0% humidity and like 89-degree weather and no precipitation and lots of wind, and just there were fires popping up everywhere. So I just got an email from a student that's like, hey, I haven't been to class yet, but I don't want to fall behind. Can you show me how to do X, Y, and Z? And I'm thinking, it's 9:49 and I'm half in the bag, but you know, if a student's been burned out of their home for 2 days, I'll see what I can do to help you out. So
Yeah.
it's insane.
So you got some people in the waiting room, Todd? I can't see.
I'm not even. Do I? I don't know how to tell, honestly. I'm like,
You should see him waving at you below.
So it's like it's different for me. The setup's a lot. The phone setup is
Yeah, I
different.
thought Meta was wanting to join. I was going to volunteer to.
Papa Willie just said I can get up to 6 people.
Are you in?
You should be. That's the free
Yeah,
one. The one that you pay for is 9.
Yeah.
And when you get
I'm on the free.
premium
I'm on the free one, so I think I get 6. So if they're,
yeah, you should go up to 6.
so would it just pop in on the bottom next to you guys, and I have to add them, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Just-
Yeah, there's nobody else there. I mean, if they pop in, I'll add them.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
You
If
should
someone's
drop
there,
Drop the link again if you want people to join, because you know nobody's going to scroll all the way to the top of the
Yeah,
chat.
I dropped it in once before, but I'll do it again.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, so to qualify myself, I used to teach college statistics and research methods for psychology.
Oh wow.
Oh, nice. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, I actually have a PhD, so but I haven't taught since 07. But I know we were doing distance learning and stuff back then, you know. I'm really surprised that the I don't know, public or, you know, high school, junior high and all that school system is having trouble ramping up when college has been doing this since the late 90s.
I hear you. My master's degree was it was a teacher program, and a lot of it was, part of it was, you know, live. I'd go to University of Florida in the summertime for like 4 weeks or whatever, but during the school year, everything was online. But I think there's some challenges just in, first of all the educators, all the teachers working aren't used to teaching in that method. And I think there is a difference between teaching in the traditional classroom versus teaching in a purely remote setting. And then the students, they're used to, you know, learning in a certain way. It's like I had a conversation today. It's like, listen, I get it. It's tough to sit there at home and focus on a Zoom meeting, you know, be on a Zoom for 45 minutes and then another Zoom for 45 minutes. But you just have to challenge yourself, and you have to rise to the occasion. You have to do it. Because
do you have any students that are doing the online version instead of being in the actual classroom?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I have. You know, I'm set up with like multiple cameras in my room, so everybody can see everybody. I can, you know, the kids at home can see the kids in the class. They can see me. I can see the kids in the class. I can see the kids at home.
I know, but I mean more like, do you find those students that are doing social distance learning, do you find them disrupting students in the classroom or vice versa?
I have pretty much like 90. Most of my students are pretty solid, good students.
Nice.
Some of them just, you know, some middle school boys need a little bit of a push because they're middle school boys, and that's, you know, that's what they are. And I was one, and I know the feeling, and you know, but I'm like, you know, I've told you before, I consider myself incredibly fortunate that I work, you know, in the setting I work in with the people I work with and the kids. It's an awesome school. It's an amazing. It's really awesome.
Yeah.
So Meta says he's backstage. Do you see him?
I see him. I see him now. Okay. I was just staring off into space, and here we have Meta.
Good time.
What's up, my friend?
What's up, Meta?
My friend.
Meta with the soprano voice coming in. How you doing?
Not bad, man. What is up? How's it going, guys?
Just chilling.
It's going good. We're just chilling, you know. 10th
show.
10th
I had to jump on, man, for the big 1-0, man, to give you some congrats, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
To give a shout out to all my teachers, you know, without which I would have been a ruffian in society. So
there's still hope.
Shout out to you guys, man. I don't understand how teachers get paid less than like a pro athlete, but you know, whatever.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
it just kind of shows you where society's priorities are.
Fair enough. Yeah. You know, it is what it is. I mean, I'm
just saying, if we're looking on a scale of like who's more important to society, you guys would be like right under doctors. You know what I'm saying?
You guys
are the future.
What you're saying, I think it's a scale of quantities thing. I think there's just too many teachers for them to.
No, I think it's more like a societal priorities thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, that's a whole.
It's kind of like how police officers don't get paid a lot of money. Like, that's stupid.
It kind of speaks to how society values education.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and maybe it's just our society, and where.
Yeah, and I would say education is probably the second most important thing after like the legal system.
I'll tell you a secret. Up here where I live, I don't actually feel like I get paid that poorly. I have a lot of problems with.
I'm just saying overall.
No, I hear there's a lot of places that don't pay as well as some places. You know, I'm pretty good well off here in Western Washington.
C-Square said they shouldn't get paid.
Back in New York, okay.
I have a friend I taught with in Florida who moved to Washington, and I want to say he told me when he moved out there, he got a substantial increase in pay.
When I moved here from New York City, I actually dropped about 12,000, but it's picked up quite a bit in the last the 10 years that I've been here. But yeah, New York City was paying pretty well too. When I first started teaching, I was in I was in the North Shore of Long Island, which is some of the best pay in the country, and that was just insane. I didn't understand money, so I actually went into a lot of credit card debt because I was young and stupid.
I think we all did that in our early years.
If you
you blame it all on school supplies.
13 years out of college.
Yeah,
I did it in college.
If you know me and my t-shirts and my my fashion sense, back then it was actually for clothes. I was a bit of a clothes horse and a little bit of what was that phrase? And metrosexual was the phrase that was popular about 10 years ago to describe like people who were straight but were really into their clothes, and that described half the guys in New York City. And that was me. So it was a different time and a different place.
Hey, Tacoma.
Yeah.
Tacoma, did you have a man bun?
I did not. My hair was gone way before I ever got a chance. That was never going to happen. I mean, that is the epitome of the metrosexual, but that was not a possibility. I could never do that.
Man,
I can totally picture you, man. Fucking a pair of Toms, fucking fucking man bun, some chopsticks in your hair.
All you do is be a soccer player next, but that would have been the goal. But no, I was always short hair. I never looked good in long hair. Always short hair, and then it just started to go, so I just started to shave it.
Man, my family went bald early.
Yeah.
So I started going bald at 27. So
C-squared.
C-squared. That's hilarious.
Hey, my hair's long enough to.
Yeah, you can do it.
My hair is really long. You just never see it on camera.
I like Egghead.
Yeah, my hair's pretty long, so I have no room to talk.
Okay.
I'm just lucky. I'm 50 years old and I still have all this.
But if anybody has HBO, like right at the beginning of the summer, back in July, which feels like a year ago, a movie came out with Hugh Jackman in it called Bad Education. And if you ever get a chance to watch it, that was the first school I taught in, and that was actually the town next to where I grew up. And
wow!
Really?
Yeah, it was about this set, and so the stuff that was happening in the movie was happening when I was there, and I was unaware of it. When I was there, this was a super, super rich district, right? I mean, I was hired as a substitute, but as a permanent substitute. So I went in 3 days a week, and if there was a social studies teacher absent, I taught their class. If there was no social studies teacher absent, I subbed for somebody else in the building. If there was nobody absent, they didn't need me, they kept me and did clerical work, and I still got paid the sub salary. So I was 3 days a week. I was hired no matter what, right out of college. And then after 2 years of that, I got a job teaching. And this is back in like '96 without a master's, first year teaching. I was making $42,000 or something. It was insane money for teachers. And
back then, hell yeah.
Yeah, I was there. And I remember that we had this faculty meeting, and there was definitely like a pecking order, and I was low man on the totem pole. And somebody was talking about they were going to do a sky bridge that went from like this building to that building, and all the teachers are like, these fucking kids can walk out in the rain to get from one building to another, and yet the admin was all about like, oh, we need to build this, the parents want it. And there was this superintendent who was just super, super scummy, and he had not met me. And even though I got hired full time, he asked me to come for an interview. So I went over to his office, And I just remember thinking, I'm like 23, but I know there's something wrong with this guy. There's something sleazy about him, but he's the most powerful man in this district. And, he's making hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I can't say a word that I thought this guy was sleazy. I just have to go along and keep my job. A few years later, I'm teaching in South Bronx. And my mom sends me this article. And she's like, have you heard? He got arrested and brought up on charges. The New York State Comptroller says to this day they don't know how much money that district has embezzled, but he was he had a secret lover who owned a construction company, and there was doing kickbacks to the construction company with some other people working there, millions of dollars in this one tiny little town, millions of dollars embezzled from the school district, and nobody on the school board noticed or cared for the longest time. Because there's Roslyn, there's Manhasset, and there's Jericho, and they all vie to be the top districts that send the most kids to Ivy League schools. And Roslyn was like number 6, and after the superintendent was there, they were becoming one. The real estate prices of the homes skyrocketed, and as long as that happened, nobody cared or looked too deeply into where the money was going or what was happening, because they were all rich. Their homes were worth tens of thousands of dollars more every single year. It wasn't until some girl that worked for the school newspaper started poking around and asking questions about the budget and the construction and where the money was coming from, and it blew wide open. This guy went to jail for a couple of years. The whole thing just destroyed careers and stuff. And so it's a really great movie. It's, not nice job, Rob. I mean, it's not perfectly accurate, but there's a lot of truth in the movie compared to, what was going on. And it certainly had the feel of what it was like when I was there. And it's fascinating. And Hugh Jackman plays the guy and plays him great. So that's my story.
Yeah, I can't speak on none of this. If I was a teacher, I'd probably be like Jack Black in School Rock.
A story back in Florida where there was a principal who lost their job because they were selling furniture out of the school.
That's awesome.
No way. That's like.
So let me throw this out. Let me throw a question out to the panel. What's your guys' favorite storyline that you ever read? I imagine we've all read comics for a long time, many years. If there's one storyline or miniseries,
old or modern?
Of all time.
I have an old one and I have a modern one.
Of all, I know what mine. Well, if you ask me my one, I know what my perfect example, my favorite example of episodic comic book storytelling.
I'm sure mine and yours is the same, Todd.
I got a few.
I'll throw mine out first. So mine is the Archie Goodwin, Walt Simonson Manhunter run. To me, that's like 7 parts. It was a backup feature in Detective Comics. I think I forget the issue. It's like 470 something. It started. I must have I have a collected edition here. I'll pull it out. I wasn't planning this or anything. I really wasn't. Let me see.
Conspiracy.
Yeah. So I'll go and say
man, maybe this will take a minute. I don't know. I got boxes and boxes.
What about you guys?
I'd say Dark Phoenix Saga is probably still the top of my list.
That's a good one. Days of Future Past is pretty good. That's one of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
I mean, when we were arguing earlier, I'm saying, it's definitely, I would say, probably out of one of the X-Men runs. I mean, you got so many good shit with them. You got Dark Phoenix Saga. You got fucking Days of Future Past. I mean, they got a lot of good shit.
Anything mutants back from back then was good. I love X Factor. No, that first run of X Factor was really great.
Yeah, I mean, I have I don't know if it's the best storyline that I've ever read, but I just count all of Claremont X-Men. So from issue 98
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
to 279 as the greatest single run in comics, just because he held that comic together. I mean, if I go back and read like issue 103 now, it looks ridiculous. Some of the stuff he wrote is amazing, right? Like Days of Future Past, like Dark Phoenix Saga. A lot of it. Some of the stuff he wrote is kind of throwaway silliness, but just the fact that he kept these characters going with a definite. I got another one. No, I didn't. Yes, I did. With a definite theme through over 150 issues, I think is fascinating. But if I go back to what I actually reread, I reread Sandman probably once a year. But that's so large, sometimes I don't. I do reread Lock and Key once a year. I go through all 6 trades. Absolutely one of the best reads that I can think of.
Yeah, Sandman's definitely a great read.
Yeah, my roommate, she has the first trade is Sandman. It's really good. I started reading it.
So I'd have to agree with Tacoma. Like I'm saying, X-Men, and especially the Claremont run. Besides that, for modern, I'd probably say 100 Bullets as far as like a long run.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So,
and it's similar to Claremont in that there is a feeling developed in issue 1, a mood, if you will, that carried through all 100 issues, right? I mean, that story went from New Orleans to LA to South America, went from the case with 100 bullets to like crime families and, the 13 families and this killer, Bono, what was his name? Brother Lono. The story went all over the place, but it kept the same mood or atmosphere through every single issue. I totally agree with you, Meta.
Yeah, and I might be biased, man. I might be biased, but I'm telling you, man, people better be watching on this new book that's coming out, dude. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, man, I agree with you there.
It's gonna be.
I don't want to say too much, but I mean, like, here's just a couple of pages. I'm gonna go big for a minute. Like, this is a collected reprint, like, because it came out originally as a backup feature in Detective Comics, and I also have
this. Get a zoom in on that puppy.
A gold one. I don't know, just so Walt Simonard. This was like his first. I think this was one of his earliest or first published works. But there's like the Manhunters, the Paul Kirk Manhunter. That's all his equipment, his dagger, his Mauser, the stock. I mean, I just love that when they add all the stuff. And I don't think does this have it? No, and there's even so this was like 6 or 7 parts. It's got the intro by Archie Goodwin.
Oh, nice.
In it. I mean, dude, just the stuff that the accolades this story got. But it's a great read. If you haven't read this, I'd highly recommend it. I mean, this is something you can probably find relatively inexpensively. And
how many issues did it go for?
It wasn't even issues. It was a backup feature in Detective. It's like 7.
Oh wow, okay.
Or 8, and then there's a hardcover. This might have what I'm thinking of in it. They never did well, I mean, it has an ending, right? You know, the okay, yeah. Chapter 6. No, it has 7 chapters. But then apparently there was a script or there was a plot that Archie Goodwin had wrote before he passed away. And wanted, people wanted him to do that story, but he wasn't, I don't think Simonson wanted anybody else I don't think anybody really wanted anybody else to script Archie Goodwin's story. So they did it as a silent story.
Oh, nice.
So it's all just, it's Archie's plot and Walt's pen, artwork. And it's involves Manhunter and Batman. Just like, this is like, for me, this is like high level storytelling. It's good stuff. Let's see if there's a shot with Batman. I won't tell you the whole.
So Meta and I guess Tacoma too.
What's up?
Mentioned Dark Phoenix Saga and Days of Future Past. I mean, how much do you think John Byrne has to have credit, because those are probably the two most popular Claremont writings, and John Byrne did a lot of that plotting.
I would say his work on that and Fantastic Four. So
Fantastic Four is amazing. His run.
I agree.
Yeah, that's a great run. I mean, absolutely.
Yeah. I think John Byrne gets overlooked a little bit now. I mean, Jim Lee outshines him, and I don't think people realize how integral he was to mid '80s, early '80s Marvel comics. Absolutely.
I feel there's that one panel. I forget. I think it might be like 133 where Wolvie's in like the sewer.
Yeah.
And I think it's like, I'm the best there is at what I do. It's one of those moments.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, to me, that's just iconically Wolverine. That's what I think of as like that stealthy, like little. See, that's the one thing that always bugged me about the X-Men movies. Like Hugh Jackman did it. He's a good actor and he did a good job. But just the physical appearance of Wolverine doesn't fit with what's in my head.
Yeah, and you got to look at the art of that, because when he went through the sewers and started attacking all the Hellfire Club minions, if you noticed, all the killing was done in silhouette, and the backgrounds were in red. Right? I mean, how freaking incredible, right? As an artist to know, showing no blood or anything, right? Just seeing all the, seeing the claws going through someone in silhouette, and then all the backgrounds in red. I mean,
that's been copied a lot now, right? That John Byrne set that up, and it's very cinematic, actually.
Yes.
The idea that, you're not going to show it. It's just like a cutaway, and you just see black with red flying everywhere. But the blood splatter lets you know through your CSI training that is Wolvie's blood.
Now, don't get me wrong. I enjoyed seeing claws go straight through someone's face in Logan, but
Hey, C Squared had a good question. He said, "What's the worst comic you've ever read?"
I don't know. I mean, worst, you could pick up some crap, but I'm just trying to think most overrated.
I could tell you the one I was most disappointed by when I got it.
Go ahead.
I think I was probably in 6th or 7th grade, and I was reading Detective Comics pretty faithfully, and I was loving Alan Davis's run on it. And then I had read year 1, and it did so well that they were doing year 2. And there was no, I didn't know what was coming out, or, I got the books when they, I was lucky to have a comic store across the street from where I went to middle school. So I could get out of school, ride my bike across the street and get comics. But when I picked up the second part of year 2, I remember opening the book and being like, what happened? Alan Davis isn't drawing this issue. Who's this guy? It looks like Arthur Adams, but it's not Arthur Adams. It's some dude trying to draw like Arthur Adams. And I was like, look, and I'm like, oh, there's some guy named McFarlane. was such a disappointment to me.
That's hella funny.
I mean, and don't get me wrong, it's like one of those how I learned to love, McFarlane and like his art. Being, I got into him. I collected all his Hulk stuff and all his Spider-Man stuff, but I still have the Amazing 300 I bought in whatever 7th or 8th grade when that book came out. But I just remember I was probably, and that came out, obviously the detective came out first. I mean, that was one of his earlier works. But yeah, it was a big disappointment because I really liked that Alan Davis, Paul Neary run, the art on Detective Comics for that couple of issues. It was a short run. It wasn't really long.
I'm trying to think what really disappointed
Hey,
me.
I'll say a controversial one. Secret Wars.
Interesting.
See, I don't disagree with you, Meta, because I've never Secret Wars was cool in the sense that we're all fighting.
Well, I mean, I'll give you one. I'll give you the most key point: the inconsistencies throughout Secret Wars.
Well, that's what I was going to say. But as a story, it's not that terribly strong. It has some cool moments.
Yeah, remember though, those comics put out to promote a toy line.
Yeah, right. But G.I. Joe is basically a monthly toy catalog, and that stuff.
I mean, I think if I went back and read Secret Wars now with a critical eye, it would be totally different. But Secret Wars, when it came out in '86, I think I was 15, and I was getting my comics 60 cents a spot at the rack at the local stationery store. I mean, you had every villain fighting every superhero. You had the mystery of the Beyonder, who, by the way, I'd love to see them bring back.
Yeah, thanks, but
I agree.
Like you guys were just alluding to, it was basically like a toy advertisement.
Yeah, but I fell for it hook, line, and sinker back then. And even though it may not hold up or may not have been a strong story, I can probably think of a lot worse storylines.
Well, I mean, I could think of worse. I'm just saying that to me, that's definitely a run that, like, I would say is highly sought after, but I would say is overrated as far as the quality of the run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think it's probably built up bigger in a lot of people's heads than what it is on the actual pages.
Right. So,
when I
think of these things, I think of what I remember from 40 years ago. One of the things I remember is where, and they did on the cover of, I can't remember what cover, but where basically a mountain has fallen on top of everybody and the Hulk's holding the mountain. Yeah. And I remember Reed Richards is bugging the shit out of the Hulk. And at the time the Hulk had the Bruce Banner brain. And he's like, I know what you're doing, Reed. You're trying to make me madder because when I'm madder, I'm stronger. And it's not going to work. And Reed Richards obviously realizes it is working. And I just little things like that. The fact that I remember them says that comic at the time did something. Even though if I read it now, I'd be like, eh. I remember when Captain America put his shield back together, right? They said he can do the impossible because his shield had been destroyed by Doom or the Beyonder or something. And he was he did this thing where he was just focusing and concentrating, and his shield was in shatters, but he just melded it together. And they're like, he can do the impossible. And I fucking bought it back then, Yeah,
and I'm not saying I don't think it's bad. I just, to me, okay, if we're going to line up just 12-issue series from the 80s, I'd put Watchmen much higher than Secret War.
Absolutely. But,
as a 12-issue, piece of work.
That's interesting.
Right. But when I was 15, I don't think I was going to read Watchmen and appreciate it. Now, absolutely. 100%. You're right.
Watchmen's one of those books I've probably read that 20 times over the years.
Mm-hmm. It's like Sandman now.
Yeah,
but again, going back 40 years, I don't know that I would have appreciated Watchmen. I saw it and I was like, what is that? But yeah, Secret Wars did it for me as a kid. So one thing that does hold up from back then is ElfQuest. I love ElfQuest.
I haven't read it. I heard good things, so.
And I read it with my kids 2 years ago.
I almost find that I can look at a lot of stuff, like a lot of independent stuff from the 80s. I mean, a lot of it was really bad, but there's some stuff that, to me, I can still read like a Grendel comic with the Panda Brothers art and with the Christine Spar story, and it's still enjoy it, and it's still like it holds up. If I feel like if that came out today, if it's good or better as anything.
Yeah, I remember I sat down 2 years ago with my sons, maybe 3 years ago, and my younger son, he did not like reading when he was like 5 or 6. He was much later than my oldest son. I sat down with both of them. I took out the graphic novels right back here, and we just started reading ElfQuest Book 1. And I've had this I've had since like 1990 or something, and it shows, and just started reading and going through the whole story. And it's not a deep comic the way Sandman or Watchmen is, but it's a classic story, and it's beautiful enough. And what I remember is when I was a kid, I cried when the main wolf of the chief elf died, Night Runner, when Night Runner died. When I read this with my sons 40 years later, I actually found myself crying at different parts that like were more family oriented, and I was not expecting that at all. And for something to hit me that deeply and emotionally 40 years later tells me that there's something about this that like stands the test of time.
Yeah.
So.
I just think there's just something like there's something about that time, about like I guess the late 70s and the 80s, when you had artists who were, I mean, I guess you still have it today, but it just seemed like they were more. What I'm trying to say is, you could go into a comic store in the 80s, and they'd pretty much have a good selection of independents, at least from my experience. Nowadays, you get stores that you don't see a single independent book. All they have is Marvel and DC.
Well, carrying indies is risky for most people.
Right, I get that. But the thing is, I think with the independents, when you have a true like independent publisher, even more like somebody who publishes their own book or works with a small publisher, you really can get that almost unfiltered creative vision from the creator. And when it goes through too much of a corporation,
well, that's what I was trying to explain to someone earlier when we were talking about crossover, when they were like, well, I don't like independence and shit. And I'm like, well, if you like Donny Cates, then the best Donny Cates books are shit that's not on Marvel, because
I would take it even further and say if you like storytelling and sequential art in comic books.
Well, we all know that good shit is going to get Disneyfied on Marvel.
Yeah, I mean, I think we look over the years, especially since the maybe mid 80s through the 90s to today, some of the best stories are from independent books. Like here are 3 things or 4 things I've read that I loved.
Shit, Archangel 8 is probably the best, new title that came out this year.
I'm still kind of a slave to Secret Wars. Don't get me wrong.
Damn, dude, how many copies are you gonna keep getting?
If you've not read this, you should read this.
Oh, I love Planetary. To me,
Planetary. Dude, all the best newest shit is all indies. I don't even. There's no run, even in modern Marvel or DC, that can hold a candle to like many indie runs.
Yeah, this is really good. Only about a third through it.
Now, I remember reading Invincible back in the day. That's
and do yourself a favor, and if you love Kirby type of stuff, there's like 4 issues of this. This is amazing.
Dude, I'm saying like Archangel 8, almost everything that's coming out now, especially through like AWA, Upshot, shit like that. They're killing it right now.
Boom,
AWA
boom.
killing it.
For a while, okay.
They're probably like the most underrated, just like underrated company right now. Is
Yeah.
Upshot.
They shooting up like boom.
Oh, here's a freeway.
I just picked up. Where is it?
So I mean, they're killing it this year, man. I think this is you're only going to see more. Like I'm saying, I think that. Look, I can't reveal too much, but like I'm saying, I think people have no idea what's about to happen this year in comics. It's some earth-shattering shit. That's all I'm going to say.
I picked up this one from AWA because I saw Tommy Lee Edwards was drawing it. I like Tommy Lee Edwards. I got a Darth Vader sketch from him at HeroesCon one year. This Grandel, Kentucky.
Oh, nice.
I haven't read it yet, though.
Man, they got a lot of good shit, man. So definitely be on the lookout for them. Like I'm saying, Boom's killing it right now.
Yeah.
Images, I mean, all of them are basically, you know what I'm saying, killing it. And they're killing it way more than Marvel. I mean, the only thing Marvel's got going is Donny Cates. And
Hickman.
And the only thing DC's got going is fucking Metal. So they better fucking milk Metal until like it ain't till the cows come home, because that's all they got going.
Tacoma, I saw what you posted. This is one I'm pretty much planning on keeping for myself. Well, that's
what is that?
That's we only see them when they're dead.
Nice.
And I think this is the like 1 in 25. I grabbed this one.
I got the regular cover and I got the store variant. So C Squared says indies may well be the future of comics. If DC decides it can't sustain, or the higher ups at DC decide they can't sustain, you may see an interesting thing happen with indies. But C Squared's making a good point. Is Marvel and DC have a safety net? I mean, what Cates has done is told a new story with Thor, which finding a new story in the Marvel universe is difficult. So basically, you have to put somebody in more peril and find a newer, bigger bad guy to go up against. But it's really just iterations of the same thing. So it's difficult to tell those new stories. And what you're going to get with Marvel and DC is old stories told in a different way with just a modern take. So like when I first read G. Willow Wilson's first issue of Miss Marvel in 2014, it reminded me exactly of Peter Parker. It was a teen hero, had the weight of the world on their shoulders, and also had to be a superhero. And, there was nothing new about that concept, but it was just written in a fresh and new way. And so if you like that sort of thing, I think you'll always find something at the big two to kind of tickle your fancy, whether you're a new reader who's just getting into superheroes, or you're old fart like the rest of us on the panel, and you want to get that same feeling. You will still find something that gives you that same feeling, but the stories won't be as interesting or as inventive as what indies can do.
Yeah, and I also think there's a certain thing that happened in comics over the last, say, 20 or 30 years where they try to, like, as we as readers have have grown and gotten older, the comics have tried to mature, which has kind of backfired in the sense of they're not very welcoming to new readers.
Mm-hmm.
So you even see like Marvel publishes books through IDW. I think that is more likely to happen for the big two, where they just farm out the comic book part, because it makes sense for them to have these characters out there in some capacity.
Well, I mean, that's what Marvel actually did in the early 2000s with Joe Quesada's company, where they were actually farming it out to their company. They were writing the stories and such for Marvel. And then eventually they just...
And you got all those crossovers, like you could find Image like Bad Rock and Wolverine. Can you imagine at some point that Marvel had to license Wolverine to Image?
Whoa! How about, How about this though? What if? See, never mind. I can't even go down.
You're good. You're good, man. Keep that thought going. Keep that thought train going.
No, man, because I can't.
I
have to stop there, man. I was almost like all I'm gonna say is this, man, is that I think that indies are the future. I think that if Marvel and DC stay in comics, it'll be only to use comics as like kind of like a walking billboard and to like demo ideas in comic form because it's cheaper to make a comic than it is to like.
Well, I think that's why we're seeing
so many books
we're seeing so many books get optioned.
Yeah.
You know, and only a fraction, only a certain amount of the books that get optioned actually become a show or a movie.
Well, I don't think it's that's a negative thing. The reason why is it takes some time to go from having something to developing it. So like,
well, it's the nature of that industry. Pilots get made, and only
and you got to wait for your window. So like, think about it. It's all timing. So like, not just because they option something doesn't mean they can turn around and develop. Even if they developed it right away, the timing might not be right for them to drop the movie because there might be another movie coming out that's like similar themed that might compete with them. So then it becomes this issue of like, you got to have the right book at the right time with the right team to make the book. So what the companies are doing is that we're in a new world where content is king. So the content motherfuckers are like vacuuming up all these IPs as soon as before someone can make $1 billion off of them. They don't want like an indie to come out with a character and then make $1 billion off of it when they could have bought the character and put it like in their like vault.
But what you have happening is what Netflix did. Netflix hired and contracted Mark Millar or Mark Miller, however you pronounce his name, to produce, I think, 4 series for them. And he's on the second one. And what he did is he created the series, then created a comic book for the series, which is then published by Netflix. So the comic will precede the series, and then Netflix will premiere the series.
And that's what I'm saying. That's
man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And that's going to be the future. Is that, like I'm saying, if Marvel and DC keep comics, it'll be a multi-tiered content approach. It won't be how like when we were growing up, content were the means by which these characters gain traction. It was kind of the whole argument that me and JB had when I was explaining the fact that in the traditional media, there's no competition between like the Avengers popularity and the X-Men popularity. And his argument was that now in today's culture, that movies, supersede. Well, I'm saying his whole entire argument though was that movies supersede even comic books, meaning we're in a point now where the MCU is more important than
to a lot of
comic books themselves.
It carries more. It brings more dollars with it.
I know, but what I'm saying is that we are acknowledging in the community now that comics aren't even the primary driving force behind our hobby. We're saying that it's kind of an after effect, and it's kind of something that a lot of people allude to on their channels when they talk about spec and why what causes the price to move on books now is optioning and shit, and it's because that's why. Right there.
I think though,
speculation.
Like speculation is what drives is what's driving the comic book market right now. If it wasn't for
it's driving us on YouTube, and I don't know if it's what's
I mean in general, especially the physical.
Yes.
Well, I mean, even outside of our community, I mean, the physical buying and selling of comic books now is primarily driven by the physical owning of comics.
Like, look, let me put it this way. I know there are guys who own stores who don't read books. And to me, I don't read as many books as I used to. But if I owned a store today, I would read every comic book I put on my shelf. Because,
or at least be familiar with them so that you could like.
I mean, look, I'm not going to pour over everyone. Some I'm going to read more closely than others, but I'm going to know. I'm not going to give that book space on my shelf. If somebody asks me a question, if all I can do is shrug my shoulders and say, I heard it's good.
Yeah.
You know, and there's just so like you gotta have that. It's got to start somewhere. That reading, that love of reading, the love of the stories.
Well, I mean, part of it's not. So I'll give an example, a great example, which we already brought up. That's not driven by media, which is Venom and Thor. You know, Thor strictly is gained the popularity because it was a great fucking story. And now people expect a certain character that was introduced to be part of a big event later in the year. Thus, that's what the speculation is surrounding. It's not a movie or anything like that, right? It's anticipation for a larger story around this character to occur later in the year. Same thing with Venom. You know, none of these are being talked about as being, putting virus or anything else into a movie, but it's because, and it took 2 years, right? Remember that Donny Cates wrote 24 issues of Venom before Venom 25 all of a sudden took off, right?
I mean, but you could say that, but Venom, since the beginning, has been hot. Like Venom 1 and 2 have been hot pretty much since they came out. I mean, yeah, it increased slightly in relation, but them books have been hot basically since they dropped. That's why, like, Donny Cates is just everything he writes now is basically like comic book crack. So it's like
Immortal Hulk is another example. You know, it's taking, like Todd said, you're taking an old established character and finally doing something different, right? And people have responded positively. But it's a good combination of good writing and art.
And I think that's the thing about the comic books. When you have a good writer and you have a good art and you have a good art team, it's gonna work. It's gonna transcend speculation. It's gonna transcend all that other stuff because the strength of comic books, of the love of comic books, the true long-term love. Those of us who have been reading for decade after decade after decade, that doesn't come from speculation, because we all know if all you do is speculate, you're going to get burned more than you succeed.
Yeah, I agree.
Unless you made a deal at the crossroads and you got 7 years to make as much money as you want, and then you're done. But
I mean, I don't know about that. I think that you can, it's like being a fashion person or like being in the stock market. Like, yeah, you can definitely get to the point where you can read the market, where you can see trends. Like, it's not something that you just inherently going to be able to do, but if you focus and practice at it, I don't see myself as a speculator. If I buy 100 copies of Venom, it's not to sit on those 100 copies and sell them for a ton of money. I think that speculation has got like this dirty word, and that we'd have to be being naive to say that with our demographic that collects comic books, that a lot of us are not buying comics with the intention of them being more valuable in the future than they are now. So you're a speculator if you're doing that, period. If you're buying a comic at all with the thought of value in mind, then you are a speculator. Unless when you buy a comic, the value of it is irrelevant to you, what it's worth, what it sells for, or anything, then you are a speculator.
Period. That's fine, but I'm more interested, honestly, I'm more interested in just the pure demand because, like, I want to sell the books. I don't really care if I sell them at $3, $5, $7.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is you'll have a lot of people in our community, for example, who'll be like, "Hey, speculation is a dirty word," or "I'm not a speculator," but then they care about the value of books.
I think that if you take a look at Sleepy Reader made a comment here that we've got more people reading in trades. And I was at my LCS the other day, my old LCS, and I was talking to the owner of Atomic Comics, Shane, and I was asking him how business has been since that we've started to open up in Washington and we still have to wear masks, but we're like stores are open and stuff. And he says his new comic books have not come back. He just isn't getting enough people in to hit the margin that he needs to be profitable on like new comic books and pull lists. He says what has taken off for him is trades and people rereading stories in trades. And so I think that there are, I mean, absolutely meta. There are a lot of speculators out there. I'd say about 20, maybe 25% of my weekly Wednesday purchases are, I don't love that story, but I'm going to get that because I think it might be a hot cover. I think it might be a hot something. The other 75% is it's on my pull. I love the story. So you're absolutely right. But I think that we're missing the idea that a lot of content is read in trades, and specifically, all of us have missed the #1 comic of the last decade, and it's Raina Telgemeier's Smile and Drama, and those books that are in every middle school library across the country, and that are outselling every other comic by Marvel, DC, or Indie. Millions.
Well,
to expand on that point, I would say that manga or whatever is
absolutely. You're absolutely
more popular than comics.
It has a different avenue. I mean, that's like
I mean that form of comics.
Right. We don't think of them as comics.
Numbers wise.
So that's like think about something like the Wimpy Kid Diaries.
Yep.
It's words and pictures that tell stories.
That's number two.
That's a generation. There's a generation of kids who know that. The Captain Underpants.
Yep.
These are all words and pictures. It's
my son.
So last year was the first year that to direct comic shops, trade paperbacks outsold floppies. Okay, you look at your whatever your big bookstores are, right? Because I'm going to date myself and say stuff like Walden Book, which I know that's not around anymore. But you look at your large bookstores, trade paperbacks have been outselling comics like 80% to 20%, so like that. Last year was the first time that trades outsold floppies in comic book shops.
Mm-hmm.
And I live in Houston, and Richard owns Bedrock City, which has 5 locations. And he says by far new comic sales are less than 10% of his income right now, right?
That's what my guy was saying, yeah.
60, almost 70% is trade paperback, and then the rest is made up of merchandise and toys. So T-shirts, toys, and then just a lot of novelty gift items, pops, things like that.
So I do think that Marvel and DC, just with their power, still have the opportunity to surprise you once in a while. So like Tom King, Vision. I see Tom King as the opposite side of the coin as Donny Cates. Donny Cates is going to go rock and roll superhero. Holy shit, you can't believe what's happening to Thor or Venom with this next character. And Tom King will be like, let me take this character and go real subtly into like the very nuanced stuff, undertones of what you expected. And what he did with, I even like Vision better than Mr. Miracle. And like what he did with Vision, I still rank as one of the top stories ever. Mr. Miracle is up there. Strange Adventures is coming up there. And I think those are outliers. I don't think we're going to see a lot of those, but I think that there's enough good people at Marvel and DC that when they get that pitch, they can recognize it, be like, you go, you go and write that, and we'll produce it. You know.
What do you think of Tinian?
Tinian, I liked his Backstagers, which was a Boom comic about, because I used to work on set construction for the plays at school because I could not act or sing. But I don't love. I mean, I love Tom King's Batman. I might be the only person on Earth that was happy with Tom King's Batman. And I stopped reading it after Tom King finished on it. But you know, I don't know a lot of him except for his Backstagers and a few other stuff that he's done. So I'm not really big into Tinian.
Well, to me, he'd be DC's closest hope to match Cates right now on Marvel.
Okay. And I think that, you know, the Clown Guy and the Punch Girl, they're huge, so they're similar to Cates. I know it. I know it's punchline. I don't actually know what the Clown Guy is called, but I think that's a good point, right? He's doing for DC with Batman what Cates is doing for Marvel with Venom and Thor. So I think that's absolutely right.
Yeah, Telekinetic just said the same thing in chat, and Sleepy Reader says that his LCS owner says that New Weekly Comics doesn't make up most of his profit. Yeah, I mean, I think there's some gems out there. There's a few hidden gems. I've been rereading because some of it's gotten a little bit hot due to speculation, but the Bendis New Avengers run from 2004, 2005.
Oh, yeah, I want to get that in trade.
I still think his best work was on Ultimate Spider-Man, though.
I've never read any of the Ultimate books except for Ultimate Fantastic Four because I'm just a huge.
I still think that was.
I remember reading Ultimate Spider-Man when it came out, and it just, you know, it had a fresh feel. It was like, I know these stories, I know these characters, but it felt like contemporary for when it came out. It felt like it was nice because it was familiar, but it looked modern. It looked contemporary. It looked like it was published then. And I remember then they came out with Ultimate X-Men. And then I think Ultimate Fantastic Four came out. And I remember it was funny. I started doing shows around then. And I used to do this Tuesday night show in like.
What strip club was that?
What's that?
So what strip club was that?
No. It was a Tuesday night comic book show. It was in like North Lauderdale or so, or you know, down south, but I lived in Florida. And
wait, were you on public access?
If you've ever heard of the company Hot Flips, they do supplies and stuff. I think they're in New Jersey. The guy whose company is Hot Flips ran those shows, did those shows. But I mean, I was in my early 20s, and I'd set up, and I had tons of books, and I'd set up, and I'd have like all these Ultimate books that I didn't even, I really wasn't as. I could have a super hot book and not know it. I do know a lot about books. I know a lot about stories, but I'm not like necessarily on the pulse of everything. And just the demand I'd see for these books kind of blew me away because these young kids, like teenagers, would come in and be like, "Whoa, you have these issues? I got to get that!" And they just be so excited. And it's kind of like the sense I get when a lot of times I'll go to 3 or 4 stores on a Wednesday. In here in Las Vegas, there's a lot of stores. So I could hit, if I had more time, I could hit 5, 6, or 7 comic stores on New Comic Day. But there's certain books I'll only see at one store, or some books I don't see at all. And I wondered, man, if people are in a town, if they only have one comic store, there's a small chance that they have a wide breadth of books.
It's too risky. You got a basic now, like nowadays. That's what I'm saying. Why you have these 6 prints and shit is because everything's on demand. So like, people are scared to buy inventory and hold it. So
yeah, you gotta be you gotta get stuff on your pull. Hey guys, I gotta get to bed, but I am loving this. I'm so proud of you for having these good conversations and having these good people on and talking stuff. Kirk, Rilla, appreciate it, man. You guys keep up.
Thanks,
11, 12, 20, 25, 50.
100.
I'll get some more bourbon, and you guys have a good time. All right, I'm gonna go.
All right, Tacoma.
Good night.
Yeah, great to meet you, Tacoma.
Yeah, Kate Titus, we're still hanging in there.
Yeah, he's like, "Are you guys still up?"
I'll tell you what. I'll post the link one more time. See if anybody wants to pop in.
Yeah, it's almost 1 a.m. here, so.
So yeah, I hear you. I don't know how much longer I got in me. I got to get up for school tomorrow, but there's the link.
I wanted to get a chance to kind of practice in front of the camera. Meta, you and I have been talking. I'd like to be able to join the auctions here in a week or so, and
yeah, man. We are very welcoming, so we try to make it, so that everyone in the community has an outlet. I don't like it to feel
we're not clicky.
Clickish.
Well, I mean, that's why I was telling Meta
we have our clickish, but our click's a lot bigger than just like 5 people or something, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, not trying to throw fade on anybody, but I was telling Meta via chat the other day, I mean, some of the other places I've been, they're just rude people. They have their own cliques.
Funny you say
and you kind of pop into their,
Look at Comics on his mind. He's like, "What are you talking about? What is this madness that you speak of, sir?"
I stay away from the clicks, man.
Like I'm saying, I try to stay away from the drama.
What I'm saying when I say like we're not clicky, like
we got too much other shit going on that like last thing I'm worried about is like what other people are doing. I mean, we're focused on
and it's also like we're open to new people and we're welcoming and we're not like.
I just remember what it used to feel like, you know what I'm saying, to be like on the other side. So I know that, I don't want people feeling like that I'm better than them or, or anything like that. Like my whole job, even being on YouTube, I mean, and this has been since I came on YouTube, is to help people, help them grow their channel, help them to get like more confident, help them do shit that they feel like, hey, they couldn't do before. So like, that's kind of my primary goal. That's what keeps me motivated, you know what I'm saying, overall. Among like, the other stuff that we do that succeeds, I mean, that's nice, but
yeah. Well, I mean, what changed for me was, me hanging out on Meta's auctions, and and y'all seen the way I am in the chat and comments and stuff. And Meta reached out to me, I think he's on IG or somewhere, and he's like, "Dude, you're throwing a lot of great comic knowledge out here. I'm gonna give you a wrench, and I really appreciate what you're doing." And I'm like, "Dude, man, how great of a guy is that, right?" And so Meta's definitely rare guy. And Todd did something similar, reached out, "Hey, let's be friends, let's talk. I like your sense of humor."
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you've
like
heard this. I think all of you have heard me say this before. Like the coolest thing I've like gained and found through, since I just started selling comics on June 1st. I mean, look, I've collected comics since I was 8 years old. I've bought, sold, and traded a ton of books. And I mean, there was a point where all I did was just sell comics on eBay in the early 2000s, back before it was something to do.
I mean, I also try to stay approachable, like in anything.
Yeah,
just like when I did like IT stuff, the reason why I was good at that is because like I make people not feel apprehensive about like when they don't know something or something like that. Like Telekinetic brought it up in the chat that like I don't think we make people feel out of place for like
yeah, no, it's definitely
or make them feel like that they need to be like a super veteran collector to like fit in or anything.
Look, and I'll tell you this, even reading as long as I have, I love listening to somebody like you, Shelby, or anybody who really, I love the opportunity to learn something.
I mean, I love talking to anyone that truly loves comics.
I don't care if it's an 8-year-old kid or it's a 70-year-old person. You know, there's an opportunity to learn. And honestly, what I was going to say is the best part of this whole journey has been meeting all these cool people and making all these connections with other people who, you know, yeah, we all love the same stuff, but there's a lot more connectivity. Oh, let me pop someone new into the stream. We got
LBD who is it?
Prophecy.
Inspector Gadget.
What's happening?
Up, LB?
Another one that, you know, it's kind of ironic that you pop in right now, LBD, because if I remember correctly, I think you were there the very first auction I did.
I was.
June 1st.
Yeah.
And you know, now this is Mind Shift and my 10th show, and I'm just talking about how the best part of, you know, since everything started is the people and the connections and the camaraderie and the conversations, and you know, it's awesome. It's probably what I always wanted and never had as a kid collecting.
Well, and some of it's the reason why I watch this show, right, is that, you know, it's called the Teacher's Lounge, but, you know, I think all of us are kind of educators, right? We love talking comics. We love educating new people, you know, the next generation, so to speak.
It's funny you mentioned that, because when I first went, my second trip to my local shop, there was this kid there. And I say kid loosely because the dude was like this big, and he had to be like 16 though. Like, and he's just like, he's looking at all the figures and stuff. He had just got an explanation by the guy who runs the store, but he wanted to go to the man register. I'm just standing there looking with him, and then he starts asking me questions. And I give him the best answers I can of every persona he's asking me about, which I know a lot of them, but I'm talking about a case where there is figures here, figures right behind that one, and there's like 6 rows of figures, just like that. And he's just like pointing out some obscure characters, and he just wants to know everything he can, try to soak it up. And I honestly think he's gonna be back there to find out more stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah, once you get bit by the bug, you know, and you're doing it for the sheer joy of doing it because you just love the stories, the characters, or whatever it might be. Yeah. It's that purity that really drives.
Well, to follow up on both of your guys' points, when we're talking about comic books, I'm way more excited by meeting someone new to comic books than I am to talking to someone who's been like a veteran collector, because I'm more interested to see, like, when you're talking to a person who's like a veteran collector, you're gonna basically be more like an echo chamber versus like when you hear someone new coming into comics and you hear like what got them into comics, what characters they like. Yeah. What, like he's saying, it's more pure take. It's not like they're gonna regurgitate some information that they feel like they need to tell you because they want to seem
smart.
Well, they want to seem experienced and auteur or whatever.
They just want to know. They
want to seem eccentric, like, you know, in any collector type thing that people like relay this air of like, well, I have this insider knowledge, or like what's actually cool isn't cool, or like that whole shtick of like, you don't really know because we know, and like there's this secret cabal of like comic cabal or like anything. There's like this.
You mean superiority?
Yeah, like that kind of.
Meta, I'll even put it into a specific example. Think about conversations we've had over the last few months where we talked about exclusive covers, where and you would hear me try and like wrap my head around dissecting exactly how they work and how does one company always seem to always have, how do these handful of companies get exclusives? And now I kind of realize it's just a matter of going out and making it happen. Like we got that exclusive. We're doing it now. And
yeah, that shit was nice. I can see why a lot of people like give up and shit, because you got to really want it. You got to really know what you want. You got to know how to adapt to like when there's issues. And like all that comes from like being motivated, believing in what you're doing and shit. And a lot of people just want easy shit. So like when they go to encounter something and they get some kind of roadblock or issue, they just quit. So
it's funny you say that, because I have a friend who runs 2 shops, and neither one of his shops were able to grab something that it's at my store. It's just sitting there. And I actually showed Meta what it was, because I was asking him a couple questions about it.
Yeah.
And he wanted me to go grab it right away. I'm like, dude, I got a kid. I can't even head out right now. She's in class. And I'm thinking about it just for the fact that maybe I'll grab it and maybe get something I actually want for myself. It's the only one. It's a store. It's like
I would definitely get it if you can get it for less than like, if you can even get it for around $100, I probably would pick it up.
Yeah.
And one thing I like is seeing our hobby through new eyes, so to speak, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because
I'm basically new.
You get the freshest take on like what is actually awesome about comics. It's kind of like talking when you see kids like an 8-year-old who's like picking up comics and why he likes these characters and shit. Well, that's raw comic fandom. Like I'm saying, it's not that person that you're meeting that feels like they need to relay some kind of comic pedigree to you. It's kind of like the way people now, I mean, you see it between veteran collectors on like their arguments over like importance of books and shit.
Yeah, I just sent my 4-year-old grandson his first batch of comic books.
Nice.
Well, my kid was going nuts at the comic shop. She was like, "What are you gonna read me?" I was like, "Whatever I can find, whatever I gotta grab what you want." And even when she grabs what she wants, which might be some weird obscure thing, she still wants to read whatever I'm looking at too at the same time. So
to me, that's another reason why I love our community that like we're building, is that it is always newer people. Like we have people who are veteran collectors in our community, but just as many of the people who are joining us are people who are new to collecting. So
and honestly, I think it comes down to accessibility. Because it's human nature to want to read stories, to want to hear stories.
True.
And I think the combination of words and pictures, the way they are in comic books, is very it strikes a very visceral nerve on people. Yeah. Now, probably a much smaller percentage. You could have the same story, make a movie of it, have a comic book of it. A smaller percentage are going to be able to access that story through the comic than the movie. And you know what? I don't care if the industry,
that's because
the whole industry has to shrink. Because
comics require literacy and a movie doesn't.
It's the whole thought process. If you've read Scott McCloud's Understanding Comics, he talks about this whole idea of closure, what happens between the panels. And you have to connect, it's like connect the dots. You have to connect a lot of times. You'll have a panel go from one thing to another thing, and there's no relationship between those two things except that which you create in your mind.
I know, but what I'm saying is even deeper than that is the fact that one has to be literate, meaning you have to be able to read the fucking words and have a comprehension of what the words even fucking mean. Where in a movie, the story's being told through a visual means, meaning there's people who watch movies who don't even understand the language that's being told, and they can get a pretty good grasp on the movie because
but you can also understand something on different levels, like a Looney Tunes.
So that's what I'm saying. So you can't pick up a book that's like a different language and get the same comprehension out of it than you could out of a movie.
That's why I'm saying it's a smaller percentage of people. It's not the same, it's not like one for one. It's not like if you like the Avengers movie, here's an Avengers comic, and it just smooth sailing. It just doesn't work like that. It takes a certain amount of interest and desire to learn to just how to read a comic. Some people look at a comic and they're like, I don't know where to start. I don't know which way to go. Where to me, it just kind of flows. It makes sense, into a lot of us. But
that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm trying to figure out where to begin. I'm picking up what I can so I don't fall behind, but I'm just trying to. I got lucky right now where stuff that I couldn't pick up because I was too late into it. I just got a free subscription to the whole digital thing, whatever, for like a month. So I'm gonna try to catch up to what I have and then go from there. Make sure I don't fall behind.
Thank you, Telekinetic and William, for y'all's comments over there about enjoying the auctions.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I'm wondering how much of it with the auction stuff is just accessibility, right? I mean, are there people in the auctions that are there because they live in a smaller town or they're not near?
I mean, I would say primarily yes, but I'll also say that it's the environment because, like, I'll hear just based on my pulse of like in the community. I mean, I've heard several other people who do auctions say that the community is getting tired of auctions and shit, and that they're starting to slow down and all this. And I'm like, I can't tell. So it must be. They're like, well, they're getting tired of, of the same stuff. And I'm like, well, we don't like. I don't have that issue. The people who come to like our auctions, first off, it's not even really about buying. It's more like us just hanging out. I mean, people are buying stuff, but it's not that dynamic. Like, I like just as much answering questions in the chat or seeing like what books are going to come up or just seeing like you guys mess with each other in the chat. So like a lot of that, I feel like it has nothing to do with like we could like how we're just talking about comics. That's as much as what it is there, except Todd's like, well, here's a few extras or something that I have that I'll hook you up with. So
and that's just it. And one thing I've said before is I always like Thursday night because I can just hang out and talk comics, and I don't have that added.
That's what I miss. Like on my channel is that I'm so busy organizing all this stuff, like that I don't get to focus more on just chilling and talking about comics. But I feel like right now, since my job is basically YouTube, that there's my priorities are such. Like a lot of people get mad at me on YouTube because they feel like I look at YouTube and comics is kind of like a job and as a hobby, and I'm like, well, that's how I look at it. Is that collecting comics is a hobby for me, but it's also a means by which like I generate income for my family and shit. So
well, you don't go to the comic shop and criticize him for
what's up, Dana?
And it's basically the same thing. You're just doing it on a different platform, at least in my opinion.
Hey, I mean, look, I'm very open about the fact that, what I do. So I don't look, people might not understand, but look, this is stuff that I dreamed of doing. Like shit, us doing this exclusive. The fact that people are gonna know us.
Yeah.
Like outside of just our community.
Right.
Is a big deal to me.
I think what's going to happen is I think this is going to be a conduit to growing our community.
Yeah,
just our whole entire community, not just the people that are attached to our show. Like, you think that it's not going to make heads turn, like, to other stores and people who are like, who are the fuck are these motherfuckers? And oh, they can just come out of nowhere and make have an exclusive. You don't think that's going to motivate someone else in the community?
But because you know what it is, a lot of people have what I think are just limiting beliefs. They create their own roadblocks. They create their own brick walls. I mean, I've talked to retailers, and I'll bring up like, how come you don't do an exclusive cover? And they're like, I can't order 3,800 copies or 3,500 copies or whatever. Then I can't order 1,000 copies of a book. And I'm like, why not? I mean, maybe you can't sell 1,000 copies on off your new comics rack, but you got to be able to you got to figure out, you're in sales. You got to figure out how to create other opportunities.
Well, what I'm saying is, I mean, we talk about this a lot. I think that where the market is kind of losing people now is that comic collecting is becoming more like a game of curating than it is like, I'm saying you have to look at yourself as someone, especially if you're a collector, as someone who's like an art collector. Like you're curating. Don't try to collect everything. This is why people try to say collect your way. Specialize in something. So specialize in like a genre, an artist, a type of art, a type of artist, and then just focus on that. Because then you, like I'm saying, you will get really good at knowing what's valuable in that space, in that niche. Don't try to figure out the whole ball of wax. Just stick to what you like, focus on that, and get good at it.
Yeah,
Like,
you know, what I like is, you know, I owned comic shops back in, I opened my first one in 1988 and owned stores up until 93 when the comic bust happened. And I love the buying and selling and stuff. But what I really loved was the interaction with people and getting to talk to people and getting to find those books they're looking for. And, you know, it's just what gets in the way is having to pay rent, having to pay electricity, having to do comic book orders, having to sell enough of your new books in order to buy the next round of new books, and all that.
Pressure.
The business hassle gets in the way of what we really enjoy about the business.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's what this experience on YouTube has given me.
Well, I'm hoping it gives me that too. You know,
I'm similar in that. Yeah, I owned a shop for about 3 years in the early 2000s.
And here's the crazy thing, that I've never owned a physical shop. I'm traditionally an IT professional. Like, I did IT for my whole life until like last year. And I had a bigger gamer channel, and I never thought in a million years I would be like, a year ago, if you would have told me that I would have an exclusive, that comic exclusive that was about to drop, I would have told you were crazy. Like, I was collecting, but I was not even like super heavy into collecting. I had my collection, and I was moving around with me, but I didn't have a pull list. I wasn't like ordering comics monthly or anything. So like 2 years ago, like I'm saying, my comics were sitting like in storage. And then like I went to go move them one time when I was changing locations for a contract, and like once I opened the box and started going through them and pulling them out, it was like Todd said, it relit the bug of whatever. Like, once you open that can of like
a renaissance.
Yeah, it was just like boom, I was right back to square one. So like I had to catch back up to where I was. So, you know, I don't know, man. And like I feel like comics are so awesome for multiple aspects, and like that they contain culture, art, like that's why they resonate in so many different ways, because it's not just about like the cover or like the writing. There's so many things that go into them. And the reason why they're so dominant now in media is because a comic book's basically a self-made storyboard for a movie. So like you can easily translate a comic book now with technology into like directly into a movie. You basically got like the blueprint.
Yeah, I mean, definitely technology has come a long way in terms of filmmaking and effects. And if you would watch how they film a lot of these movies, you could hardly recognize it between what they're shooting and what finally shows up on the screen. I have.
Well, I'm saying like comic books came before their time, so like you couldn't have live action the first like when Superman comic book came out. There's no way that they could have represented Superman on television or like.
I don't know. I mean, they have old serials in the 40s, and they're of their time, and they have Batman and Flash Gordon.
Yeah, but no,
they're of their time.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that the world that they can create, you get what I'm saying? So like you can't create the same world in the 50s or when they launched Action Comics.
I don't know. I think you can create. Look, it's like saying like you can't tell a good story if you don't have a big budget. I think you can. It all depends. It really comes down to the creativity of the people making the product. But I definitely think like I remember being in middle school and reading that magazine called Comic Scene and like being like, oh, James Cameron's gonna make a Spider-Man movie. That's gonna be awesome. Like the dude who made Terminator wants to make Spider-Man. But they just didn't have the could they have actually they couldn't have. I know what you're saying, like in the sense of they couldn't have really done Spider-Man swinging through the city justice the way it looks in the comic and put that on film. Where now, when he swings through the city, it pretty much can look like it's right out of the comic.
Yeah. So what I'm saying, the immersion that you get between the two medias is like night and day. So like that's what I'm saying about the fact that comics back in the day were way more interesting because they stood on the strength of like you couldn't reproduce that. So now comics have to compete with movies, and movies are so much more dynamic. It's just like what you were talking about earlier about like the gap between the panels, the kind of implied you connecting the dot shit. Well, not only can you glitz and glamour a movie, meaning you can do transitions between scenes. You can do all kind of shit.
I actually have an opinion on the whole thing with the movies compared to comics because we're forgetting animation as well. Animation, the problem with animation, why it doesn't have this, in my opinion, why it doesn't have the same effect as a movie is you're telling a story in a movie, and then you know that if that story doesn't end there, you're gonna wait for the next one. People have time to go see that movie and see that. You can't expect somebody to be readily available every week with everybody having jobs and kids and all these things. You go see a movie, boom, boom, and it's done. And whenever the next one comes, it comes. So that's why I feel like animation never had the same impact as films do now.
I think also animation.
That's also a cultural bias because there are parts of the world where animation and comic book artists are held in much higher esteem.
Yeah. Like so, Japan.
Yeah.
Even in Europe.
France, is big.
Yeah. I mean, so
we lose Comics on the Mind.
Yeah, I think he I don't know if he lost signal or his phone might have died.
Maybe he got tired of us.
No, he
with these guys, I'm out of here. But I feel like there's no comparison and they're different medias for a reason. So you like that there's a place for each to tell a story in the right way.
Yeah. So and to what you said before, the comics like they do take a more open-minded, creative approach, and you need that open-minded, creative audience.
Well, I mean, it's like the difference between reading a good book and watching the movie. So why, like, to a person who has experience reading books, a movie will never compare to a book because the book has so much more, like, everything, detail to everything, because you in your mind, in a movie, what someone creates in a movie can't compete with what your mind creates as far as the picture.
Well, that's because your mind is limitless. Whatever you
Well,
write,
that's what I'm saying. Whatever you want to imagine, you can imagine. Now, trying to
And you're also going to accept whatever your mind creates without any
well,
kind
what
of
I'm saying is there's no, like, special effects needed or glitch. Like, it is not going to glitch. There's not like a bad angle. There's not like all that bullshit that exists technically in special effects. Meaning, I go circle back to the point I made about Superman earlier about Action Comics and shit. About, like you said, the serials, the black and white serials. Like, they couldn't show Superman taking a bullet to the eye or that he was really bulletproof or something. Or now in a movie, when they can show you to a kid a guy shoot a gun and watch the bullet bounce off, like, you can relay that. You don't have to write in there, like in the back in the day in the comic books, they would have to literally imply, hey, Superman's bulletproof, like spell it out for them. But there's so much more that you can relate with special effects because it's you can make it real. Like,
I think that just goes to the old adage of pictures worth 1,000 words.
well, what I'm saying is back in the there was a certain, like, back in the day, there was only scenes that you could create in comic books. Where now,
Right.
limitation.
Exactly. That limitation is kind of taken away now. CGI and
now there's no difference between a comic book panel and a television, like what they can show you.
About, you know, when I got excited in middle school about hearing about a James Cameron Spider-Man movie, they didn't have the technology to pull that off. Now they can make Spidey swing through the city in the movie just like he swings through the city in the comic
that was
book.
Stan Lee's biggest issue with making the whole Spider-Man shit, is that they could never figure out how to, like, use him in the city and make it look real. It was always, like, corny.
Yeah.
The way that they tried to, like, because they couldn't show what they needed to even do Spider-Man. Think about that. And that's what I'm saying about now. It's like nothing. But back in the day, they could not figure out how to do the most basic thing for Spider-Man, which is just swinging from building to building.
That's not a basic thing.
But what I'm saying is that's the most basic thing that Spider-Man does. So how can you have, like, a character who's one of the most popular characters and you can't even relate on screen what he does? Because the technology does not allow it.
Yeah, that's a limitation. That's just a constraint they had to deal with. And I think
now we're only limited by someone's their creativity. So
that's a lot of the reasons why it took as long as it did. But you know what? I guarantee you there's a whole generation that has a lot of good memories of Spider-Man on the Electric Company. Because it was done creatively and it made an impact. And it probably stoked love for that character like few things. Like, there's probably more love for Spider-Man from the Electric Company and the Spidey super stories than what a lot of other.
Yeah, but see, because you're talking about strong right. It's just like a lot of the older shit. Look at any of the older, like, I mean, I'm a purist when it comes to a lot of creative stuff, meaning like older horror movies. I mean, the Twilight Zone, any of anthologies that used to come out, they couldn't rely on the special effects to like get you immersed,
special effects. They may have had what they had at the time, but they used special effects. Like, I remember that one episode with the lady who lives in the house by herself, and there's all those little like rock flying ships that come in. And,
classic one.
And she's like fighting them off, and it turns out like she's the giant, and it's just, I think we're the tiny people, we're the astronauts or something like that. But they used like that scale. It was like, I get what you're saying. Like, it wasn't as advanced, or a lot of times they would use just the black and white.
I'm saying like their mannerisms, the dramatic pauses, all of that shit that they did back in the day. The actors, the average actor had to be better than to make it believable, to make it immersive.
Dude,
like so what I'm saying is
in a suit with sensors, and they're running, and they're going to be like, think about being chased and pretend like there's a giant monster behind you and you're jumping over.
Yeah, but I mean, they've been doing that. They did that back in the day too. So what I'm saying is that when you have less of that to rely on, that they have to be stronger. Meaning, like I'm saying, the writing, the directing, the camera angles, everything had to be better. Like in my opinion, if you can go back and watch a classic and get the same immersion, meaning like you don't break immersion due to like seeing something that's out of whack or something that nowadays doesn't, you like, there's a lot of stuff that we grew up watching that doesn't age well. You go back and try to watch it and it's like cringeworthy to see kind of the like overall setup of it. And I don't feel like that when I go back and watch the classics. And it's because, like I'm saying, that they were stronger in their like acting overall, meaning they knew that there would be no special effects.
I think I would say it like this. I think you're trying to describe that they had a higher level of craft.
Yes, I think that the average actor was better.
Well,
the average person who made movies.
I mean,
if you took the average person from then and put them in now with today's technology, today's shit, they would blow half these people out of the water, in my opinion.
Well, yeah.
As far as you just put them in today's time, because even the stories. I mean, like I'm a big horror buff, so like to me, horror movies now are kind of basically like trash. A majority of them. But back in the day,
it's hard to surprise you after so many films using pretty much similar formulas, and the original idea is basically gone already, for the most part.
I mean, you could say that about almost anything creative. That like words.
I've seen some like horror movies that I thought that made me chuckle. That there was this one called The Babysitter from a year or two ago, maybe 4 years ago. I don't know when it came out. And like he's at home and his babysitter's this beautiful girl, and it turns out she's part of like a satanic cult.
She's about to sacrifice him.
Yeah. I mean,
we all want that to happen. We all dreamed of that happened to us by our babysitter.
You know what movie I watched recently, like within the last year, that I liked, that I thought was like a good like kind of monster movie without it really being a monster, was Crawl.
That was okay. It lost me kind of in the part like halfway through it, but
well, it was a decent movie. Or is she going to get eaten, or is she going to escape? You know, there's not much depth to it. It's just alligators and a girl.
I was just trying to. The whole part where they were like trapped underneath the house. I didn't know what the hell was going on.
It was a hurricane. They were in the basement. It was flooded.
I know, but like I'm saying,
yeah.
So they had a certain amount of time. See, I guess I've lived through a lot of hurricanes, so I'm like I can. Plus, she was at UF where I went to grad school, so like she was in the aquatic center. She was a swimmer there. I don't know. Maybe it just had I had a personal.
Gorilla was having flashbacks of his college days.
I was
hiding in somebody's crawl space.
No, and then she goes home to like check on her dad, and he's like, down or something.
Yeah, like what the hell, dude?
That shit happens, man. Hurricanes are intense.
Oh yeah, I experienced hurricanes and earthquakes, but in Honduras when I was on vacation.
Wow.
Yeah, and
so speaking of media,
no hurricanes.
Since we're talking about media, what is your guys' most anticipated comic related, either live action or animated content that is coming out, like in the next 3 months, like before the end of the year?
I don't know.
Mandalorian.
Yeah, I'm with Shelby. Mando.
Yeah. Actually, Mando's actually gonna be the first hot toy I have, which is gonna be ridiculous. That thing, I hadn't bought a single one, and I was like, I saw that thing, and I was like, okay, you got me. I need it.
I'm not even sure if I'm excited over Black Widow anymore. That'll be out a couple of months, but
somebody said that the whole thing of Black Widow being pushed back actually helped the timeline situation. I don't know how true that is. But it's not only that. The whole thing about Black Widow being pushed back, and now obviously, sadly, Black Panther is going to be a whole nother thing. Nobody knows where that's going.
I mean, we already know what's going to happen with Black Panther. Shuri's going to take up the mantle.
Yeah,
Marvel already said that Shuri.
That's what everybody's hoping and what everybody's.
No, Marvel said this before that he passed away. That Shuri was going to take on the mantle of Black Panther.
But here's the thing: how are they going to work it in so early? I'm pretty sure that wasn't supposed to come. I guarantee you that was going to happen in a different movie, and it wouldn't have been his standalone movie.
Yeah, but
I think that what was going to happen was that they always do them in threes. So the third movie would have been like the passing of the torch from him to her. So it happened one movie too early. So instead of it being this movie, it's supposed to be the next movie. So all they're going to do is just push that up. Whatever is supposed to happen in the next movie is going to happen in this movie. Meaning, whatever is supposed to initiate her becoming.
I saw a theory about what they were planning because apparently the second movie was supposed to be based more on the culture of Wakanda itself, and
Are they going to use this as a way to like bring in Atlanteans too, or bring in Namor?
Yeah.
That I don't know, but from what I understood was they wanted to emphasize on the culture of the city. So somebody's theory was that they would base it on his father's turn as Black Panther and leading up to him actually becoming Black Panther instead of the actual current time.
No, or what I think what they'll do is
prequel.
They'll do like an origin story for fucking Shuri, and then it'll be Shuri. This next movie will be Shuri not quite becoming the Black Panther, and then like right at the end of this second movie, she'll like her character will grow to become Black Panther. Like basically, this will be Black Panther 2, where she won't technically be Black Panther until like the end of the movie.
Well, that kind of fits into what I was saying. They'll go on they can tell her story alongside her father's story, like kind of.
And then the third movie will be her like coming into her own, and will be like the actual first Shuri Black Panther movie. Where this second movie, in my opinion, they're going to do more like an origin story on her, and then the next movie will be her like coming into her own and actually being like Black Panther. That's really their only option. I mean, they can't, if they try to go dig dude up like his dad, then you're going to kind of get this disconnect between.
Well, here's the thing: if you're talking about, I'm talking about him as a younger Black boy. You know how they show a glimpse of him as Black Panther.
Yeah, but then like I'm saying, then you're going to lose continuity.
No. I'm speaking of I can agree with what you're saying, but what I'm saying, he would still need to be involved as a younger Black Panther because he was Black Panther while Shuri was younger. If you're talking about her origin, he has to be involved no matter what.
Yeah, but I mean, they'll just do flashbacks of like
but they probably
moments in their childhood.
What they probably are going to do, honestly, is do some sort of like give the character some sort of closure.
Yeah.
And let her just take over the mantle completely.
Yeah, I mean, that'll fit into this whole idea of them bringing the young Avengers and stuff.
Yeah. And it fits into the comic canon. Like it happened in the comic books that Shuri takes over mantle. So like it's not even outside the canon. So
Telekinetic said he's looking forward to the Invincible animation. I agree with that.
Yeah, I just saw they released all the cast lists or something.
Oh, really?
On that. Yeah, I think I saw that Seth Rogen is playing Alan the Alien or something.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, man. Image is doing big things this year.
All right, guys, I gotta take it down. The kiddo has class at 8:50 in the morning. And
All right, OBD.
Fair enough.
Better go grab that book.
Thanks for stopping in.
Yeah, man, I'm glad to be here. It's interesting. Like I said, it's not always about the auction. It's a nice place to come and talk and chill.
Yeah, definitely.
You'll be seeing me around. I'll probably that book meta. I'll probably go check it out tomorrow. I feel like if you call in, he gives you a certain price. If you go in person, he knows you. It's another thing.
Yeah, because it's different to look somebody in the eye and tell them something crazy than to do it over the phone.
All right, folks. Take it easy.
All right, peace.
Okay, man.
Peace out, dude.
Alrighty.
Cool.
Yeah.
He said, "Yup."
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, I just got your box, man. I still haven't opened it though.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, I take the crap out of that thing, man, and I put an extra.
Man, the other one, dude, it came here by some miracle.
Yeah, that's one.
It was
I put an extra wall of cardboard in that one.
Yeah, it's like it just gave out in the middle of the box where it was just too much.
I think they kind of like rough handle them.
Well, I mean, I think it's the leverage on the middle of the box. It's like when you got all that weight, all it takes is like the box to get probably a little bit damp or anything, and it loses its like. And then, like you're saying, if a person's being any kind of like not gentle with it, they could, with the weight and the leverage involved, it'd be very easy to create a situation.
Books got there.
Okay. Did you ever ship my stuff,
Todd? Probably not yet, Shelby.
Probably not yet.
Get him, Shelby. Get him.
Right.
Look at Comics on the Mind. He's like, this is so fun watching.
I'm gonna catch up this week. All this stuff is sold. I got boxes of sold stuff, except this pile.
All right, so here's
Todd is a victim of his success.
Yeah, I really have.
These two.
Nice.
Oh, those are awesome, dude.
Yeah, I want that Iron Man.
Yeah, it wasn't that much. It was like $50, I think. I paid for it.
Man, I got the Spider-Man one. People were offering me like $300 for that shit now.
The Spider-Man?
Yeah, I think it's the Sins of Norman Osborn or some shit. Number one.
I don't have any of those negative variants, but I have this.
Yeah.
I have the Wolverine one and the Spider-Man one now.
Yeah, now I'm picking up these, of course.
Oh, look.
The hip hop variants.
Dude, who won that damn Jay-Z variant the other day? Was it HEM Law?
I don't know.
Somebody got my damn Jay-Z.
I wish I knew you were looking for those more.
Hey, I've got it down to where I know almost everyone that Shelby has now.
Well, that's why I'm showing you these, so you'll know.
I won't remember though.
I do. I got a gift and a curse.
Like 2 Saturdays ago, I do my packing on Saturdays. And then I hit the post office.
Yeah, I got that.
The post office closes at 5:30, so I try to hit him like right after 5. I can catch the truck loading up, so I don't have to bring the stuff all the way inside because the post office is in an Albertsons. So I try to get to the guy by the truck.
Nice.
And then I went to this comic store because I knew they were having this sale. And I picked up.
Me ain't messing around.
And it was my buddy, and he had a ton of hip hop variants. I bought the 11 I bought. But
I think Shelby's only missing like 4 of them now.
No, there's a lot more. Man, it seems like every time I think that I'm getting closer, all of a sudden I see like 10 that I've never heard of.
I think like there's like 4 or 5 of them I don't have. I don't have that Jay-Z one. I have that one.
Now this one was hard to get.
Oh, and the other one I don't got is the damn fucking the double dinosaur moon girl.
Yeah,
do you need the Silver Surfer, Shelby?
Huh?
Do you need the Silver Surfer?
I need one of them. There's 2 of them. There's a baby Silver Surfer.
I have the other one. You need the other one?
I think I have the. I'll have to look. and see.
If you need the other one, I have one copy of the other one. I'll throw it in your box.
Oh,
just to say, I'm sorry.
Comics on his mind. It's like, where's mine at, bro? Slice some of my box.
I'm just trying to see which covers I have. I only have a few. I have the Unworthy Thor, and then the Spider-Man Deadpool one, the Rock Kim. That's my favorite one.
My favorite one is the Black Panther one.
Oh, that one's clean too. Yeah.
Fucking Jay-Z one. Yeah, I was always more of a fan of Jay-Z and Nas, so I didn't get all the Miles hype for the hip hop cover.
Definitely.
All right, here you go. That's
boom. That's the one I need right there.
Yeah.
I picked it up for like $20, man. You can find it.
I cannot find that shit. And the Moon Knight, that's the other one I don't got.
I actually have 2 of these if you need one.
But I'm heavy in the Moon Knight. Moon Knight's my boy.
Same here.
Moon Knight too.
I'm trying to finish.
I think he's one of the most underrated Marvel characters. I don't understand why he don't get more love.
That's why I'm glad he's getting the love he's getting in the Avengers right now.
All right, here's the big boy.
Look, yeah.
Hey,
that one in the Black Panther one are the most valuable ones now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an expensive ass book right now. Yeah, that's the one I got. That's a clean book.
Yeah, as soon as the
that one's gonna blow up as soon as they drop that other Spider-Verse movie.
Yeah, as soon as the announcement for the game hit, I bought that for $80.
Damn. That one's gonna be.
That's what I bought my Fallout 4 for.
I still ain't been able. I got 2 third printings, but I've been able to find economical first printing.
I got 3 copies of that I liked. Where is it?
And that's it. So there's all of my hip hop variants.
Look, he said I got hip hop on hip hop on hip hop, and ain't no dupes in there.
Yeah, there's a few. Like I said,
I don't think I only seen like 2.
I didn't show you all the dupes, because I might as well not show you 2 of the same one. Yeah. But I got 2 Civil Wars, 2 of those.
It's good to have those though. That's the key though in that run. The Civil War.
2 of those Moon Knights, and that may be all the dupes I have. I don't have many. I do have a few coming in. Though.
I found a couple of these. This is a pretty cool Doom cover. This is like a second printing for number 3.
Oh my god,
that run is really good.
I need that. I'm a Fantastic Four collector, so.
Man, I do not like Fantastic Four. I do not like Spider-Man anymore.
I like certain runs of Fantastic Four. Like when She-Hulk joined, I like that.
Yeah, but because She-Hulk
I was able to score a couple, so I got you.
Okay, cool.
I think that Immortal She-Hulk going to do what Immortal Hulk did. It's going to be everybody's going to wait till it comes out, and then they're going to get FOMO.
Yep.
So send these in to get pressed and cleaned.
Dude, comics, it's going to be just like with this new Donny Cates book, man. You don't hear nobody talking about it. It's going to come out, sell out, and then everybody's going to be like, oh my God.
Everybody's going to hop on it. Get that book.
They got the promo poster up in one of the shops I go to down here.
Really?
Cool.
So these are what just got sent in to CGC.
Oh, I want that cover. That's a great Silver Surfer.
That's
cover.
The one that they put on the label.
Nice.
The Rainbow Road. That's the one that they put on the Thor label.
Nice.
Yeah, I need to start sending shit back into CGC, but after last year, they pissed me off so much.
I never sent in
2 of these.
Dude, I sent something in November. I got it back in like damn near June.
Yeah, I sent something in February, and I got it back in June.
Yeah, it was like 6 months or some shit. Or
Yeah, but that I had them press and clean them, and I'm not doing
nice.
that again.
I need that in my life. Silver Surfer's my boy.
Man.
Oh, don't let me go get mine. Mine's higher grade.
Silver Surfer is my like older.
I'm happy. I'm happy. I
my
got
silver age grill.
I'm happy. I got a 7.
Look,
there's the Tales of Astonished cover that I want. I think it's like 93 with him on it.
There's a lot of copies higher grade, but I'm happy I got my 7.
Hey, whenever I got done with teaching and graduated, and I came down here to Houston, went to work for NASA, I started buying books, and I got an 8.5 for $300 back in the day.
Mm.
And also a 9.0 Iron Man 1 for like $500.
Jeez.
Hey, they used to sell AF-15s for like $13, man. They had it in the classic Overstreet or whatever they just printed.
Did you see my post I did on IG of one from the Rocket Blast comic collector? There was an ad in there selling Amazing Fantasy 15s for $3.
Look, $3.
I can remember
Fantastic Four #1, 75 cents.
I was in a store. It's not that crazy, but I was in a comic store in Georgetown. My family was driving, like, I think from New York to Florida, and I had a beautiful copy of Amazing Spider-Man 50, and it was like $50, and I begged and pleaded for it.
That's the Kingpin cover?
Yeah, he's not on the cover, but it's his first appearance.
Okay.
It's the Spider-Man No More cover.
No,
Yeah.
it's that one. Okay, yeah.
And I wanted it so bad, and like it wasn't completely unreasonable because like I was able to spend like $50 or $60 in a comic store before, but they wouldn't for one book. I don't think my mom she wouldn't have went for. She didn't go for it. She could.
She's like, you want to spend how much on a comic book? She's like, if you don't get your ass in the car, let's go.
She would buy me like a pile of comics.
Yeah, but she's like, on one comic book, boy, get in the car. It's like when my mom, when I used to go ask her to buy me a pair of Jordans, she'd be like, those shoes cost how much? You only get one pair.
Right. Yeah, all my CGCs are in the back of the house, and then I do have a warehouse. So I've got it trimmed down, man. Maddie, you'll be helping me out, letting me join the auctions and stuff. I got it trimmed down. I've got 26 boxes. This is my living room, and I'm surrounded by 26 boxes right now, short boxes of books.
Hey, well, you and Todd would be brothers, man. Look.
Well, the only reason why these aren't in my bedroom is because it's filled with toys.
There you go. We can make room for one and get rid of the other. I say we go with the toys. Keep the comics.
Probably.
But, hey, I'm biased, but
yeah. I'm about to sell off some of the toys. I'll probably start my own. Try and do a YouTube channel of like showing off the toys and then posting on eBay or something. I thought that would be a good way to kind of advertise.
Just sell them right on YouTube.
Yeah, dude. Why?
Don't give eBay any money.
No point.
I'm not popular as y'all yet.
You'll get there. I'm not. I
started.
I was nothing on April 30th. And then I started on June 1st, and look where I'm at, man. It's
1 year ago.
Not even
1 year ago, almost exactly. I did not have a YouTube channel. I had 0 subscribers.
I'm June, July, August. It's September 10th. It's like 3 and a little bit of another finger.
I'm just saying, 1 year ago, I had 0 subscribers. Did not have a YouTube channel.
I mean, look, I'll put it to you this way. I came in with a pretty good following on Instagram. and I probably still haven't to this day mined my Instagram for all the subscribers on YouTube I could.
Same here.
But
you gotta get. Hey, that's the Dylan and Venom cover. They got one. That's the higher end version. I mean, version 2, because it has the claws on it. There's one like that where it's just them standing on the cover.
Yeah.
Hey, but I'm telling you, you'd be surprised, man, that people would tune in. There's the one with. You'd be surprised, man, that where I learned most of my stuff for the auctions was not on comic auctions. It was watching just other people.
Well, I mean, that's where I started out, was strictly comics, because he's here in Houston.
Yeah, but I mean people who don't sell comics at all, meaning that just sell different stuff on YouTube.
Right.
They have nothing to do with comics at all. They sell coins. They sell like shit that they get out of storage units. They sell like whatever. And I'm like, well, we actually have like something that is like collectible and people want. It's not just I don't know.
Well, that's why I've been talking to Todd. I mean, I've been talking to Todd for several weeks about, joining up on the auctions, and kind of understanding it a little more, before I made this decision and stuff. And, so I may talk to you some, Meta, about what your ideas are then if I were just do auctions straight on YouTube for toys or something.
I mean, I'll help you set it up and so
yeah,
I have no problem, man. Like I'm saying, man,
sounds like another show.
Just like even outside of, my primary thing is if I can help you guys through my experience on like YouTube and shit that I know, like I could tell you shit about all kind of shit about like how the algorithms work. I mean, there's bigger YouTubers. I'm not going to put them out there right now. They come to me and ask me for advice and, ask me questions and stuff. You'd be surprised who it would be. But like, I like to help people. Like, that's why I was in IT, is because, that's an avenue by which I can help people who are like, oh, they pick up like a computer and they have like technophobia. And they're like, if it like, they don't want to learn how to use their email or some shit. And I got to like teach them that shit in a way that doesn't make them feel stupid. So like, that's why I kind of relate with you guys as far as being teachers and stuff. I don't teach kids. I teach adults how to do shit and I got to do it in a way, like I'm saying, without insulting them or making them feel like anxious or.
All right. And that's why, I like you a lot. I mean, like Dragon Ball said, thorough. And they do some great auctions, but I've also tried talking to those guys and, I guess I'm not part of the clique or something. Not trying to throw no shade or anything. I think they're great guys,
I mean, I just do it as like a job that was the primary function of my job, was relating to people in the like adults and trying to teach them. And that's a whole different dynamic than dealing with kids.
Right. And I hear what you're saying, Shelby. It's just like, look, and you can't blame somebody necessarily for liking the state of their thing and where they're at.
Yeah. No. Like I said, definitely.
Here's an example.
Like, they're great. They're great.
At the last place that I worked, like I worked at, I mean, I can't name who they are, but I worked at a large advertising agency. Now, the people that I worked with, like I'm saying, are like huge people. So like, I can't be talking to them in a way that, for example, makes them feel any kind of way. I mean, they buy like the access that they have to shit, how bad they can make your life for you if they just wanted to, if you piss them off or something. The clout that they have and shit ain't. So like, when you've been in certain environments, you realize that like you have to be careful especially like I'm saying when it comes to adults and shit on the way that you relate things or the things you say or the way that you carry yourself, or because you don't get a second chance, you know what I'm saying, to make a first impression on someone. So like,
yeah,
that's kind of what people forget. They think that like everyone's going to understand their style, when like some people have an acquired taste. Not saying, you get what I'm saying, that you have to kind of understand them in context versus just who they are blatantly. And I think that's kind of where you have that clip where some people feel excluded. Because like I identify with a lot of different groups because I come from like the hood. I've lived in corporate America, you know, so like I can pretty much wear whatever hat. And a lot of people can only wear one of those hats. Like they can only exist in corporate America or like on the streets, and they can't like fit in equally good in both places.
yeah. I'll definitely say, you know, I've worked for a lot of corporations, you know, and navigating that is difficult, and I find it difficult. So, thank you.
Yeah,
I was glad now I'd have one viewer.
Hey man, like it's all built from nothing, and like what Todd was saying, the hardest part is taking like the first step.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
even
And then after that, it becomes more like a snowball.
The first time I talked to Meta, it was like, yeah, man, I said, I'll be ready in a couple of weeks. And he's like, how about tomorrow? And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll find something. And all I knew was I probably had some books that I had 3 or 4 of, and I'd be okay to let them go, you know, and whatever happened. And, you know, lo and behold, I'd stuck with it, and I've had some freaking glorious nights, and I've had some less glorious nights, but overall, it's been a lot of fun.
Hey, one thing Todd can say, like anyone who knows me, is that like I'm a person of action. So like a lot of people talk about good theories about shit and spitball all kind of shit, but like,
hey, I mean, we talked about that.
I'm like I can show you shit better than I can tell you. So like,
we talked about the exclusive, and it's happening. You know, we talked about getting books and bulking them out to you, and it's happened. You know, it happened.
Yeah.
You know, there were at the beginning there, that first month, I had this one opportunity. This one store was just, they were like
getting unloading boxes on them,
and I was able to buy them by the long box for very, very reasonable prices. And every couple of days, I was running out and grabbing 2, 3, 4 more long boxes.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Now I'm a little.
And one of the most interesting things I would have to say over my time on YouTube was, and kind of the turning point for me was the passing of Comic Jabroni, and then like me putting everything in perspective. For example, that like a year ago, like I was saying that I didn't have like a YouTube channel or anything like that, and I wasn't really a big part of the comic community, and to go from that to being able to like help his family and to see all of like the support that we were able to do, like that kind of like solidified it for me that I could be proud of doing YouTube. Like when I see that I could impact change in a real way, and it had nothing to do with comics or
absolutely awesome. But even
you did amazing. I threw you a couple of compliments. You know, I posted a thing on IG, you know, donated a little bit, but yeah, what you did was incredible. Go ahead, Todd. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, but I'll say it's even just the just creating the stage for the human connection, for to connect with each other. You know, on YouTube, it's just it's pretty awesome. I mean, you know, hopefully we'll get back to the point where we can meet in person, and you know, we can all go to a con together or whatever,
man,
hang out.
That'd be awesome.
But you know, at least now, I mean, I think especially in the what we're dealing with in the world right now, having like this little corner where we connect with people who love the stuff we love or like-minded and are enjoy a good conversation, man.
Well, I tried to like explain it to Todd, like our group. I try to make it where we're like a comic shop. So like back in the day when you went to like your comic shop, it wasn't about like buying comics. You just liked hanging out with there, talking to the people who were there, asking stupid questions. A lot of times you just go and read a bunch of comics and never buy anything.
Stronger, the Hulk or Superman.
So, you know, like I think a lot of that shit's lost nowadays, and to me, that's the most important part is rebuilding like that feeling of community and like that feeling of like wonder. I don't want to say.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
The feeling of like novelty that even we all feel now when we go into like a comic book store.
Yeah.
But it's nice when you read something and it strikes a chord with you and it makes you get that feeling, that excitement, that I don't know, that I guess that tingle.
Man. Hey, let's say I haven't felt that in a while, and I got it this year. That's all I'm trying to tell you.
You know what
I got like that old feeling that when I was like 8 and I very first picked up a comic, and I was like, and it felt like I didn't remember what life was before I grabbed that book.
All right, got that Peter tingle.
So.
Pun intended.
Okay, guys. So
thank you, Dragon Ball.
We just crossed the 3-hour mark, so I think.
Well, hey, glad we did the marathon thing on your 10th issue. I mean, your 10th
definitely.
Yeah, thanks for having me the whole time, man. Shit.
Yeah, let's go ahead. If you guys got anything, Shelby, anything you want
to? You know, I'll be working this out with Meta, I hope, and I'll be joining the auctions soon. I'm gathering up some stuff in some short boxes that plan on selling, and so I look forward to it. Awesome. And then maybe step in on preview show with you on Tuesdays or something and show off some things for the coming week.
That's good. Yeah, man, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Sounds like a plan. Awesome. Thank you, Shelby. Thank you for hanging out so long with us on our 10th episode. It's been a great time talking to you.
Yeah, I think y'all let me hang out this long, so I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Anytime, man. It's good to finally talk to you like face to face. We're as close to face as we could get.
Yeah.
Meta, do you have anything you'd like to?
I just want to say peace, love, and hair grease. Thanks you for having me on your 10th episode. I want to thank everybody on the panel. It was good chopping up with my boy Mynd, Shelby Thompson. So first time I've been, I think, on a stream with Shelby. So shout out to you, man, for making your cameo / first appearance on the Toddfather's lovely show. So with that being said, though, all of you guys in the chat, all of you guys on the panel, Comics on the Mind's getting one hooked up, thrown in his Christmas stocking. So the rest of you guys, you need to go out and grab that exclusive before we send the mafia to your homesteads to break them legs. So get out there, get you a copy before we're sold out. We're already like 10%.
Nice.
Sold out in like a little over a day. So at this rate, they won't last long. So
yeah, we'll come out and put ticks in the spines of your books.
Yeah, man. Just because out of love.
We're breaking ticks.
We do it for the love. But besides that, as soon as we get this taken care of, my format will kind of roll back. But I've been so busy between those two things, I haven't had a lot of time for other stuff. So look for some other stuff that's gonna be coming to the channel soon. And we're always cooking something, man. So just keep your eyes out. Make sure you guys subscribe to my boy Gorilla, Shelby, and Comics on the Mind, man. If you guys aren't, you're missing out. And like I said, the mob will come break the leg. So I'm out of here. Peace.
Thanks, Meta. Yeah, thank you to everybody for coming. Shelby, appreciate you stopping by. Meta, thank you for hanging out. Thank you to Tacoma for coming by. Thank you to Kay Titus for stopping by. I hope I'm not forgetting anyone. And it's been a great 10 episodes. I can't wait for episode 11. We'll do that on your channel, Mind Shift. Otherwise, I'll be on the auctions next week, Monday, Wednesday, market. And I'll be with us next Thursday on your channel, Mind Shift. And perhaps I'll do I'll probably do a auction preview on Tuesday. That seems to be the night to do that.
Has it been helping?
Yeah. I mean, it's just I get I pick up my new books on. I can pick up my new books and some new books and show them off, and some people tell me we'll see stuff they want, and I hook them up, and I try to hook them up a little bit better. It doesn't always work out that way. I don't know. Kind of arbitrary. You know what I mean? I try to do right by everybody. And
told you Todd's a victim of his success, man. He don't know what you.
Dude, I need more space. I think I gotta buy a house so I have somewhere to put my comics.
His aunt's like, boy, you supposed to be selling comics. How you getting more? These boxes are getting full. They ain't getting empty.
No, I do have some empty boxes in the garage.
Those are just for show. Those are just the boxes he moves around to make her think that he's actually selling shit.
I got a box right here I haven't even built yet, but it's a CBC box.
I bet you he has a stack of them underneath his bed that he just builds, and he takes them out to the garage and then like unbuilds them and shit to make her think that he's like emptying out boxes, but he just really building them and then unbuilding them in the garage.
It is.
It's a conspiracy. No, I got
more comics, more problems.
It's hard out here for a comic pimp, man.
Yeah, man. So I'll give you the last word, Mind Shift. You take us home.
Well, you guys already know who this is. Mind Shift, aka Comics on My Mind. Besides this show that I do, you can find me on Not Near Mint with the Not Near Mint crew every Wednesday. We're on there at 10 o'clock if you're on the East Coast, 7 o'clock if you're on the West Coast, and 8 o'clock if you're in Mountain Time. But besides that, you can find me on IG or in the chats. Are lurking on some of you guys' channels. That's all.
He's
I
like,
got.
all right, Todd, I'm doing it. Okay,
I'm just hungry.
Yeah, I'm hungry too. I'm with you, mine. I'm like, shit. My stomach's
okay,
like,
well, let me time on it. So, thank you to everybody for tuning in for our 10th episode of the Teachers Lounge. It's been a great journey, great 10 episodes, great 3 hours tonight. Thank you to everybody in the chat for hanging out with us. Thank you to everybody who hopped on as a panel member and shared this episode with us. It was a lot of fun, and I know we'd love to have some more guests in the future, and I think we're both open to it. It kind of livened things up a little bit.
Donnie Cates is God.
People on the show.
What's that?
I said Donnie Cates is God. We're out of here. Peace.
Till next time, till more Gorilla Talk goodness.
Peace out, y'all. Have a good night.